Chapter 242. When Xiao Chen saw the destructive power of this move, he was somewhat astonished. He had not expected that after comprehending Saber Chi, the attacks of the disordered dance of 1,000 years would reach such a level. In the past, when he was a martial master, he could only use Saber Light. At that time, he could not even bring out a tenth of this move's might. Even though he was a martial grand master and comprehended Saber Light, he could only bring out less than half of his strength. Only when one reached martial saint could one bring out the true might of the disordered dance of 1,000 years. A dense stench of blood permeated the entire space, causing people to feel nauseous when they smelled it. Even more blood crows in the distance smelled the blood and flew over. The entire sky seemed to be filled with blood crows. The originally dark space was now completely dark, and everyone's vision was greatly affected. Xiao Chen looked at Yun Kursen beside him and said, "What should I do? I cannot use that move often. It exhausts a lot of essence. There are at least 10,000 of these blood crows." Behind the two of them, the expressions of the other 8 people were somewhat unsightly. They had just arrived at this strange place, and before they had even met the demons, they had already encountered such trouble. The blood crows were only level 4 demonic beasts. In front of everyone, they were nothing. Any one of them could easily kill dozens of blood crows. However, when there were a certain number of them, it would be horrifying. The most crucial thing was that the blood crows could self-destruct. The might of a rank 4 demonic beast's self-destruction was equivalent to the full-powered strike of a medial-grade martial saint. Yun Kursen pointed to a huge blood crow in the sky and said, "Look over there. That blood crow should be the king of this group of blood crows. As long as we kill it, the rest of the blood crows will automatically scatter." Xiao Chen looked up. Indeed, he saw a huge blood crow that was as large as an eagle. It was ingeniously hidden behind several hundred blood crows. If one did not look carefully, one would not notice it. Xiao Chen shook his head and said, "If it doesn't come down, we won't be able to do anything to it unless someone knows a flying martial technique. Only when a cultivator reached the martial king realm would they be able to fly, or if their martial spirit was of the wind attribute, they would be able to fly as long as they reached the peak of the martial saint realm. Apart from that, if one wanted to fly without the help of external objects, one had to master a flying martial skill. However, flying martial techniques were extremely rare. In terms of value, they could rival peak Earth-ranked martial techniques. Of course, if Xiao Chen was alone, he could summon silver. However, the silver worship could easily expose Xiao Chen's identity. He could not use it unless he had no other choice. Yun Kursen thought for a while and said, "Blood Crow King, leave it to me later. With so many blood crows, the next wave of attacks will definitely come from more than one direction." The two of them retreated, shielding the other 8 behind them as they waited for the next wave of attacks from the blood crows. Crunch. The strange cries of the blood crows in the sky didn't stop. Tens of thousands of blood crows cawed at the same time. Their voices were ear-piercing and sharp. They hadn't even attacked yet, but they were already disturbing everyone's minds. For some reason, the blood crows in the sky had become extremely patient and were constantly making strange cries. Pairs of blood-red eyes stared at the crowd, but they didn't attack. Instead, they were wearing down their fighting spirit bit by bit. "Damn it, can't you be more straightforward?" Gao Xiang could not help but curse out loud. The martial techniques of Qianduan Peak were very particular about being open and direct. They were famous for their might and ferocity. Gao Xiang was very much in line with this character. When he met with a demonic beast like the blood crows that could self-destruct, it was very painful for him to not be able to use his strength. Just as everyone's patience was about to run out, the blood crows in the sky suddenly stopped making strange cries. The noisy space suddenly turned quiet. Only the sound of wind could be heard in the air. It was extremely quiet. The intense contrast made everyone nervous. They could not help but tighten their grip on their sabers. Everyone knew that this was just the calm before the storm. Hu Qi. Suddenly, the sound of air being torn resounded in the quiet sky. In the next moment, the blood crows gave off a strange red light. They were like the lights of 10,000 households. Suddenly, they lit up the sky, turning it scarlet. The layers of blood crows in the sky were like countless scarlet arrows. They tore through the dark sky and flew towards the crowd. Yun Kursen quickly said, "Aside from Xiao Chen, the others are not allowed to draw their sabers. Zhang Lai, come to my side. Later, we will attack together. The others can only use their scabbards to attack the blood crows." Blue Dragon Tail Whip. Xiao Chen executed the blue dragon cloud soaring art and quickly drew a circle around the crowd, killing all the blood crows in the first layer. However, there were simply too many blood crows. Soon, the second layer of blood crows flew over. The others did not dare to draw their sabers due to Yun Kursen's instructions. They could only use their scabbards to knock down the blood crows flying at them. They did not even dare to use too much force. They were afraid of killing the blood crows and self-destructing. With their hands and feet tied, they were surrounded by danger. Among the crowd, only Mu Heng had it easy. He circulated the purple jade body tempering art and his body glowed with a purple light. These were only rank 4 demonic beasts, they could not break through his defense. When the blood crow's beaks, which could pierce through steel, struck Mu Heng's body, they gave off a ding-ding-dang-dang sound. He was not injured at all. Instead, some of the blood crows pecked off their own beaks. Hu Qi. Yun Kursen, who had been dodging, suddenly drew her saber. There was a flash of saber light and a blood crow's heart was pierced. It did not even have the time to self-destruct before it turned into a corpse and fell to the ground. Yun Kursen said to Zhang Lai, "The reaction speed of the blood crows is very fast. They only need half a second to self-destruct. If you are confident that you can kill them in half a second, you can make your move." Zhang Lai's expression was calm, he was not in a rush to make a move. As he dodged the blood crows, he carefully observed Yun Kursen's actions. After a while, Zhang Lai had an idea. He drew his saber and an indistinct cloud appeared. In the next moment, the cloud scattered and a tiny strand of saber chi soared into the air. Everywhere the saber chi passed, it instantly pierced through all the blood crows. In an instant, hundreds of blood crows died. Zhang Lai swung his saber and the strand of saber chi disappeared. He shouted, "Everlasting startling cloud, explode." The everlasting startling cloud, which contained Zhang Lai's small perfection saber intent, suddenly exploded. The strand of saber chi reformed and turned into countless beams of light scattering in all directions. Every strand of light was actually saber chi containing saber intent. Its speed and strength had reached the peak of inferior grade martial saint. Bang! 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 In the next moment, a flock of blood crows fell like rain. This saber strike had killed thousands of blood crows, allowing everyone to relax. When Yun Kursen saw the situation, her expression did not relax at all. Instead, her crescent-shaped eyebrows knitted together tightly. She tossed a medicinal pill to Zhang Lai to replenish his essence quickly. "Stop trying to be brave. Quickly recover your essence. This is not the time to use your trump card yet. Mu Heng, protect him first." When Zhang Lai heard this, he felt slightly embarrassed. This move had indeed exhausted a lot of essence. It had exhausted almost 2/3 of his essence. However, its lethality was obvious. Originally, he thought that even if Yun Kursen did not praise him, she would not criticize him. Who knew that he would receive such an evaluation? When Zhang Lai placed the medicinal pill in his mouth, he immediately felt a cooling sensation in his mouth. After a while, the essence in his dantian quickly recovered. In a short while, he had recovered 1/3 of his essence. This was a rank 6 medicinal pill, the White Cloud Pill. It could instantly recover 1/3 of a cultivator's essence. After that, it would replenish the cultivator's essence within 10 minutes. It was worth 500 inferior grade spirit stones. Zhang Lai did not expect Yun Kursen to be so generous. His impression of her changed greatly. Gag. Gag. The huge blood crow king in the air let out two strange cries. Immediately, all the blood crows stopped their attacks. They flapped their wings a few times and flew back into the sky. Yun-Kursen looked at Zhang Lai and said, "In this space, unless you have no other choice, do not exhaust too much essence. There is still a long way to go." Zhang Lai did not dare to retort. He knew that he had been somewhat rash. He did his best to circulate his energy to recover his exhausted essence. The attacks of the blood crows only lasted for 5 minutes. However, the density of the attacks was too high. Everyone was exhausted. Woo! Woo! Suddenly, the blood crow king let out a drawn-out cry. Under the red moon in the distant sky, a large group of black dots heard the cry and flew over densely. After a while, more than 10,000 blood crows gathered in the sky. It was a black mass, causing everyone's scalps to go numb. Xiao Chen had a calm expression as he looked at the sky. He muttered to himself for a while before saying, "We have to kill that blood crow king. Otherwise, it will not end. Everyone will be exhausted to death by it." Yun-Kursen said indifferently, "After this wave of attacks, I will deal with it. Every time it summons a blood crow, its strength will decrease." The group did not have much time before the attacks of the blood crows arrived again. This time, Zhang Lai did not use the everlasting startling cloud. He infused his saber intent into his saber chi. His saber danced around continuously. Each saber chi would quickly kill a blood crow. Xiao Chen and the other two did their best to kill the blood crows. The rest of the group used their scabbards to block. Occasionally, when someone was in danger, Mu Heng would immediately rush forward and use his body to block the blood crow's attacks. For a while, there were no openings. As time passed, the corpses of the blood crows piled up densely on the ground. "I can't take it anymore. This group of little things is too troublesome." Gao Xiang suddenly roared angrily and drew the huge saber in his hand. "I'll smack you all to death." Shwa! Under the horrifying huge saber, the hundreds of blood crows circling above Gao Xiang's head were all struck. They were chopped in half at the waist and blood sprayed out like rain. When Gao Xiang saw all this, he laughed loudly. "They are just insignificant rank 4 demonic beasts. Why are you all so afraid? I can kill them all by myself." When Xiao Chen turned his head and saw all this, he was greatly astonished. He wished he could chop this fellow to death with his saber. The expression on Yun-Kursen's calm face changed greatly. She shouted loudly, "Leave quickly." ZZ. The blood crows that were chopped in half did not have the suppression of electricity on their wounds. The black aura sizzled continuously. Boom! The 100-odd blood crows' corpses exploded in the air, creating an intense shockwave. Gao Xiang was the first to be blasted away. He vomited 6 mouthfuls of blood in the air and fell heavily to the ground. Chapter 243. In the end, Yun-Kursen's words were too slow. Before the others could react, they were instantly blasted away as well. More than 100 blood crows exploded at the same time. The might of the explosion was equivalent to the full-powered strike of an inferior-grade martial king. Almost no one could escape unscathed. After the explosion, aside from Xiao Chen, Zhang Lai, and Yun-Kursen who were further away and barely managed to dodge, only Mu Heng did not seem to be in a serious condition. The remaining people had all lost the ability to continue fighting. They lay on the ground in pain. It was difficult for them to even stand up. As for the main culprit, Gao Xiang, he had already fainted. It was unknown whether he was dead or alive. This was the horror of the blood crows. A martial Grand Master could easily kill a lone blood crow. Even if they were injured by its explosion, they would not suffer any serious injuries. However, once there were many of these demonic beasts and they exploded together, even a martial king would find it difficult to deal with them. Fortunately, these blood crows would not explode for no reason. They would only explode before they died. Otherwise, if these tens of thousands of blood crows exploded together, even a martial king would not be able to survive. Even if a martial king came, he would be blasted to smithereens. Of course, martial kings could already fly, so it was relatively easy for them to dodge. The 6 of them had already lost all their combat prowess. However, the blood crows above them continued to attack. When Yun Kursen saw the situation, she said, "Shao Chen, Zhang Lai, there is no need to hold back. Kill this batch first." With the help of the rank 6 white cloud pill, Zhang Lai's essence had already recovered to its peak state. When he heard Yun Kursen's words, he immediately did as she said. Shao Chen brought out his small perfection saber intent and infused it into the aura of the Lingyun saber technique. He shouted and executed the 16th move, Everlasting Startling Cloud. Explode. Countless strands of saber chi shot out in all directions in the air. The horrifying scene appeared once again. In an instant, thousands of blood crows did not have the time to explode. The saber chi pierced through their bodies and turned them into pools of blood. A large amount of blood rain fell from the sky. Flight on wings, disordered dance of 1,000 years. Shao Chen pushed off the ground and soared into the air with a shwa sound. This time, Shao Chen did not hold back. The essence in his body flowed endlessly into the saber through his meridians. The pure lightning-attributed energy contained in the saber chi moved as fast as lightning. As the berserk saber chi swept across, it swept through the blood crow corpses. By the time Shao Chen landed, the number of dead blood crows on the ground was no less than Zhang Lai's everlasting startling cloud. Heavenly note explosion. Yun Kursen shouted and the slender saber in her hand trembled continuously. At first, the trembling sound was almost inaudible, but it slowly grew louder. Eventually, it was like rolling thunder, shaking the heavens. One by one, the blood crows fell from the sky. But if you cut open their wings, you would find that every blood crow's heart had been shattered into pieces. He died of a broken heart. What a horrifying killing move, Shao Chen thought to himself in astonishment. If this move was used against human cultivators, it would be equally effective. It used sound waves to attack the heart, making it hard for people to defend against it. The 3 of them executed their best moves and killed tens of thousands of blood crows in an instant. The blood crow king above them did not give up and started to summon again. Yun Kursen took advantage of this moment to take out a map and handed it to Shao Chen. She said, "There is a forest on the map. Bring them there. I will lure away this blood crow king and meet up with you later." Shao Chen was not in a rush to receive the map. He looked at the calm Yun Kursen and said, "I will lure away this blood crow king. I have a 70% chance of killing it. I will meet up with you after that. I know you can kill the blood crow king. However, you cannot lure it away." Yun Kursen directly stuffed the map into Shao Chen's hands. Only the purest blood of virgins can make these blood crows go crazy. Indeed, even if they could kill the blood crow king, it did not mean that they could lure it away. If they could not lure away the blood crow king and had to fight here, it would be hard to guarantee the lives of the other 6. He did not expect Yun Kursen to have such a kind heart despite her cold exterior. When he figured out what was going on, Shao Chen could not help but feel surprised. Shao Chen kept the map and said sincerely, "In that case, be careful. Remember to meet up with us." Yun Kursen nodded and said, "When I was out on experiential training, I met this kind of demonic beast before. I am very familiar with its habits. I will be fine. I'll be leaving first." Pu Ci. After Yun Kursen spoke, she placed her left hand on the sharp saber and pushed off the ground. Her petite figure leaped high into the air. The saber made a "so" sound and cut open her left palm, leaving behind a trail of scarlet blood in the air. Amidst the heavy stench of blood, the trail of blood that Yun Kursen left behind seemed to have a special magical power. Crunch. Crunch. The remaining blood crows in the sky immediately went berserk. They flew frantically towards the source of the blood. Even the blood crow king stopped summoning. It flapped its wings and kicked up a strong wind. It left a scarlet trail in the air as it chased after Yun Kursen. The densely packed blood crows all flew away and the scarlet moon reappeared above everyone's heads. Everyone was temporarily out of danger. Xiao took out the blood-replenishing pill and gave one to everyone who was injured. The blood-replenishing pill was very effective in treating internal injuries. Furthermore, the effects of the medicinal pill were very fast. Xiao Chen had specially refined it for use in battle. Although the rank of the medicinal pill was not high, it was more than enough for a martial king. After these people consumed the medicinal pill, they would be able to recover their basic mobility in a short period of time. After the medicinal pills were distributed, Xiao Chen looked at the unconscious Gao Xiang. Anger immediately rose in his heart. If it were not for this fellow acting like a retard, everyone would not be injured. Yun Kursen would not have to take such a risk. Given the current situation, they would not be in such a passive position. Based on Yun Kursen's tone, this strange space was filled with danger. Every step was filled with danger. The blood crows were probably just the appetizer. The later parts would be even more dangerous. Only by being steady and sure, maintaining sufficient strength at all times, would they be able to walk to the end. Xiao Chen collected his thoughts. Although he did not like this person, he was, after all, a companion. He could not just abandon him. He said to Mu Hang, "Carry this fellow, you will carry him." Mu Hang said in dissatisfaction, "I am not carrying him. I feel unhappy just looking at him. There is no way I can carry him." "If you are not carrying him, who will?" Before Xiao Chen could say anything, Zhang Lai spoke up. He smiled and said, "I exhausted too much of my essence earlier. The others are all injured. Xiao Chen is the vice captain. Aside from you, who else can lead the way? Furthermore, you are the strongest." Mu Hang was helpless. He could not find a reason to refute, so he could only agree to this difficult task. Xiao Chen did not say anything more. He called the injured people to treat their injuries quickly. Then, he took out the map and looked at it carefully. The map was very detailed, it included the entire space. Xiao Chen first found the location of the group. Then, he started to search for the forest that Yun Kursen mentioned. The Black Forest occupied a large area on the map, it was about half of the map. Behind the forest was a mountain range. There was a palace built on a cliff. It was specially marked with a red dot. Xiao Chen looked at the map and muttered, "Looks like the final destination is this palace. However, to get to the palace, we have to go through this forest. Let's go to the forest first. Hopefully, Yun Kursen can return safely." After putting away the map, Xiao Chen got everyone to get up. After they found the right direction, they rushed towards the forest at full speed. After they walked for a long distance, a strange black chi suddenly rose up from the ground where they were earlier. The black chi slowly gathered and eventually formed a human figure. It was a man with an extremely pale complexion. He looked in the direction that Yun Kursen left in and stuck out his tongue greedily. He smiled sinisterly, "I have not smelled such a fragrant virgin blood in a long time. No wonder even the blood crows that I reared are disobedient." At the same time, the same thing happened to the other teams. Every team was attacked by a large group of blood crows. Murong Chong shouted and his figure flashed in the air, dodging a red arrow of blood that the Blood Crow King spat out. With the aid of a flying martial technique, Murong Chong could fly freely in the air. Every time he dodged, the intense speed created a piercing sonic boom in the air. Pu Ci. Murong Chong casually swung his saber and chopped dozens of blood crows flying over in half. The Blood Crow King knew how terrifying Murong Chong was. It controlled the blood crows to harass Murong Chong continuously. This created a lot of obstacles for him and prevented him from making a move. Chapter 244. This is never-ending. Peerless Lunar Shadow. Murong Chong lost his patience with the unceasing flight of blood crows. He executed one of Qing Yun Peak's 7 great secret techniques, Peerless Lunar Shadow. 2 crescent moons appeared in front of Murong Chong. The crescent moons formed a cross in the air and streaked across silently. In the next moment, countless drops of blood appeared, dyeing the 2 crescent moons scarlet. The densely packed blood crows in the surroundings fell down like rain. The two scarlet crescent moons flew back with a schwa sound, one in front and one behind. They sandwiched Murong Chang's body in the middle, forming a true full moon. Hu Chi. The instant the crescent moons merged, Murong Chang's body flashed in the air. Blood spurted out from the center of the Blood Crow King's huge body, splitting it in half. Murong Chang's grave and stern figure appeared behind the Blood Crow King. He held a bloodstained demonic core in his hand. Behind him, a scarlet full moon slowly rose, dyeing the sky scarlet. Under the illumination of the scarlet light, Murong Chang stood upright while holding his saber. He looked strangely beautiful. The Blood Crow King's corpse fell from the sky with a piu tong sound. The remaining blood crows immediately scattered. The other disciples on the ground heaved a sigh of relief. He is already very close to a peak consummation mysterious phenomenon. Murong Chang is indeed worthy of being the top core disciple on the Wind Cloud list. I'm afraid a regular inferior grade martial king would not be a match for him. A Bachan peak core disciple on the ground sighed as he looked at Murong Chang in the air. Another person beside him added, that is indeed so. The greatest advantage a martial king has over a martial saint is the ability to fly. Murong Chang grasps a flying martial technique. This advantage is useless against him. He would even be able to hold his own against a medial grade martial king. Don't be envious. He is not on the same level as us. Among the younger generation of the great Qin nation, his strength is firmly within the top 10. We can only fight for the top 10 spots in the Shiha province. The full moon slowly disappeared and Murong Chang landed on the ground expressionlessly. His gaze was like lightning as he looked at the other 9 people. Immediately, everyone felt a trace of pressure and stopped their discussions. A Qianduan Peak disciple walked over to Murong Chang and asked, Senior brother Murong, are you all right? Murong Chang sheathed his saber and said indifferently, it is just a peak rank 4 demonic beast. What can happen to it? Where do we go next? The man took 2 steps forward and asked with a puzzled expression. Bang! When this person was only 1 step away from Murong Chang suddenly attacked at lightning speed. His palm struck this person's chest. That person's body trembled violently as a black shadow drilled out of his body. The black figure revealed himself, revealing an extremely pale face. Suddenly, he vomited a large mouthful of blood, and his already pale face became even paler. The black figure looked at Murong Chang incredulously. How did you discover me? Murong Chang said indifferently, in the Heavenly Saber Pavilion, no core disciple has ever dared to get within 3 steps of me. Puchi. The black figure vomited another mouthful of blood and looked at Murong Chang in horror. Then, he quickly turned around and fled into the distance. He was as fast as lightning, and in an instant, he had moved 1,000 meters. Murong Chang watched as the black figure fled, but he did not give chase. After a while, the black figure, who was still fleeing, suddenly exploded into pieces. A core disciple revealed a horrified expression. He asked, what is this? How can it enter our bodies? Shadow demon. Murong Chang said indifferently, the Deep Abyss demonic world, a subsidiary race of the blood demons of the 9 royal clans. It can only enter the bodies of dead people. Just be careful. What about senior brother Cheng? That person pointed to the Qianduan Peak core disciple lying on the ground and asked with a trembling voice. Murong Chang turned around and said indifferently, dead. The moment Murong Chang spoke, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. This was the first time they felt the aura of death so close. Some people rejoiced, some people were worried. Not all the teams were as lucky as Murong Chang and Yin Kursen. They did not have many casualties. In the sky, a huge blood crow carried the corpses of 10 Heavenly Saber Pavilion core disciples. A shadow demon was on its head. He muttered to himself, 10 fresh corpses. Master will definitely be happy. On another battlefield, the ground was littered with the corpses of the blood crows. A thick stench of blood permeated the air. The huge body of the Blood Crow King lay on the ground, torn to pieces. Not far away from the Blood Crow King, there was a person inspecting the shadow demon's corpse. The other 9 people were all emitting a dense killing chi. Some were cleaning their sabers, some were meditating, and some were looking around at the scenery. Everyone seemed to be very casual. A man in black walked over to the shadow demon's side. He said to the person inspecting the corpse, "Senior Brother Lu, can we set off now?" This team was the elite team of 10 led by Lu Chen. Lu Chen smiled at the person behind him. "Big Brother Pang, there is no need to be anxious. This is our first time meeting a shadow demon. It is better to study it first." Lu Ryu slowly walked over and said worriedly, "I suspect that the moment we entered this subspace, the Blood Demon General already sensed us. I believe that every team met with an ambush." Lu Chen's handsome face did not reveal any astonishment. He said, "This subspace is the incarnation of the Blood Demon General. There is no need to guess. Everyone must have been attacked." Lu Ryu frowned slightly. "You do not seem worried at all. The blood crows are not ordinary rank 4 demonic beasts. Furthermore, there is the shadow demon controlling them." Lu Chen muttered to himself for a while before slowly taking out a piece of metal from the shadow demon's heart. The piece of metal was covered in black incantations. A black aura lingered around it. Lu Chen did not reply to Lu Ryu's question. He revealed a surprised smile and said, "Interesting, so this is how the blood demons control their subordinates." Lu Chen put away the piece of metal and stood up. He said, "Senior Sister Ryue, your disciple has the divine flame talisman you gave him. He will be fine. The others are meant to be cannon fodder. There is no need to worry." When Lu Chen said this, his expression was incomparably calm. It was as though he was talking about an insignificant matter. The hundreds of core disciples were like ants in his eyes. Originally, it was only a few dozen kilometers before they could reach the forest. However, Xiao Chen and the others had to walk for half a day before they arrived at the entrance of the forest with great difficulty. Everyone finally understood what Yun Kursen meant when she said they could not exhaust their essence at any time. Along the way, they bumped into a group of demonic beasts every 10 minutes. These demonic beasts were at least rank 5, which was equivalent to a peak martial saint. Furthermore, in this strange space, the strength of the demonic beasts were at least 1 or 2 times stronger than in the Tianwu continent. It was very troublesome to deal with them. However, these were not the most important things. The most troublesome thing was that there were 6 injured people who had just regained their mobility. For the sake of taking care of these injured people, Xiao Chen and the other 2 nearly died along the way. Mu Heng tossed Gao Xiang, who was on his back, to the ground. He heaved a sigh of relief and said, "We finally arrived at this lousy forest. I really do not want to carry this rotten person anymore." "Yi Chen, thank you," the 6 injured people said in embarrassment. Along the way, the 6 of them could be said to be a burden. They knew this in their hearts. Xiao Chen smiled faintly. "We are all from the same sect. Now, we are companions. There is no need to thank us for helping each other." To Xiao Chen, there was indeed no need to thank them. Although he was not a good person, he would not abandon this group of people if it was within his capabilities. Looking at Zhang Lai, who was recovering his essence, Xiao Chen did not disturb him. He said to Mu Heng, "You keep an eye on them first. I'll go check out the forest first." Mu Heng nodded. "Go on then. Be careful." There was no one walking in the dark forest. There were all sorts of shrubs and weeds everywhere. There was not a single complete path. Xiao Chen's spiritual sense turned into rings of light and spread out. Then, he looked around carefully. As his cultivation of the Purple Thunder divine incantation deepened, Xiao Chen had gained some insight into the usage of his spiritual sense. In an instant, Xiao Chen saw everything within 1,000 meters. There was not a single demonic beast within 1,000 meters. He could not even feel the aura of a demonic beast. The surroundings were very quiet, there was no movement in the air at all. Xiao Chen withdrew his spiritual sense and jumped down from a tree. He muttered, "Strange, why is it so quiet?" Executing the blue dragon cloud soaring art, Xiao Chen decided to take a look personally. There were some things that he had to see for himself before he could feel them. Xiao Chen's figure turned into a flood dragon, tearing through the water like air. Xiao Chen charged through the forest, swinging the lunar shadow saber in his hand. Strands of saber chi shattered the shrubs in front of him, forcibly carving out a path. Xiao Chen did not care about the commotion he caused. He paced back and forth in the quiet forest. However, there was no reaction from any demonic beasts. Xiao Chen stopped and looked at his surroundings again. Like before, there was no movement at all. Never mind, I'll leave it as it is. It is good that there are no demonic beasts. The others should recover their combat prowess after resting for a night. After making up his mind, Xiao Chen executed the lightning evasion. A bolt of lightning streaked through the air. In an instant, he arrived at the entrance of the forest. Seeing Xiao Chen walk out of the forest, Zhang Lai, who had already recovered most of his essence, got up and asked, "How was it? What's the situation in there?" Xiao Chen shook his head and said, "It is a little strange. I did not see any demonic beasts. It is too quiet. Everyone, be careful when you enter." Zhang Lai smiled and said, "It is good that it is quiet. I am here to kill demons." In the end, I did not even see any demons. Now, when I see demonic beasts, I get a headache. Under Xiao Chen's lead, the group was led into the forest. After they settled down, they anxiously treated their injuries. After a long time, according to real time, it was already midnight. However, in this strange space, the scarlet full moon hung in the sky. Chapter 245. The sky was always gloomy, they were not used to it. After running around for an entire day, the injured group fell asleep early in the morning. Xiao Chen and the others did not dare to sleep. They found some wood and started a bonfire, chatting from time to time. The flickering light of the fire shone on the faces of the three. Zhang Lai looked at the red full moon in the distance and suddenly said, "Don't you guys feel that the moon is a little brighter than when we arrived?" When Xiao Chen and Mu Heng heard this, they looked up. Indeed, the moon that was initially scarlet was now scarlet. The scarlet light looked very frightening. Mu Heng withdrew his gaze and curled his lips. He said indifferently, "Whether the moon is red or not, what does it have to do with you? How boring." Zhang Lai smiled and said, "I was just saying it casually. Isn't this boring? Give me a demon to practice with. It would be better than sitting here doing nothing." However, Xiao Chen's gaze was fixed on the scarlet moon in the sky. This was the first time he looked at the scarlet moon so clearly. He finally felt something strange about it. That scarlet moon seemed to have a life of its own. However, it was too far away. This feeling was too vague. Xiao Chen did not dare to be sure. Sha! Sha! Suddenly, a soft sound entered Xiao Chen's ears. Xiao Chen quickly withdrew his gaze. "There's a situation. The two of you, don't leave first. I'll go take a look." By the time Mu Heng and Zhang Lai heard Xiao Chen's words, he had already disappeared without a trace. Zhang Lai sighed, "It is getting harder to see through him. His speed is probably not much slower than your Big Dipper transposition." Mu Heng shook his head. "The difference is that this is a movement technique. Strictly speaking, the 7-star transposition cannot be considered a movement technique. It should be a martial technique. Hence, I cannot compare to him." In a few breaths of time, Xiao Chen arrived at the place where the sound came from. He saw a familiar white figure. It was Yunkerson. Xiao Chen heaved a sigh of relief. Indeed, the Blood Crow King was no threat to her. He gently leaped in front of Yunkerson. Just as he was about to speak, Yunkerson's body fell towards him. Slightly startled, Xiao Chen quickly supported Yunkerson. He discovered a ghastly wound on her back. It was a long line of blood, dyeing her white clothes red. Yunkerson had already fainted. Xiao Chen had no choice but to carry her and rush back. When Zhang Lai saw the unconscious Yunkerson, he said in astonishment, "Yunkerson is actually so severely injured. A peak rank 4 demonic beast should not be able to deal with her like this." Everyone had seen Yunkurson's strength for themselves. Furthermore, what they saw was just the tip of the iceberg. Even Xiaochen did not dare say that he could defeat Yunkurson. If it was a demonic beast that Yunkurson could not deal with, then Xiaochen would not have any advantage. Mu Heng muttered, "What should we do now? Aside from her, none of us know the details of the mission. Don't tell me we are trapped here." Xiaochen was currently treating Yunkurson's wounds. When he heard this question, he felt a headache coming on. He had promised Lu Tianyu that he would find an opportunity to kill the blood demon general. He could not accomplish that if he was trapped here. Xiaochen crushed the blood replenishing pill and slowly rubbed it on Yunkurson's wounds. Then, he took out another blood replenishing pill and was about to place it in Yunkurson's mouth. Suddenly, Yunkurson, who was in Xiaochen's embrace, moved. She opened her eyes and said weakly, "Thank you." Seeing that she had woken up, Xiaochen rejoiced in his heart. He smiled and said, "You should treat your injuries first. If there is anything else, we can talk about it later." After 4 hours, Yunkurson stopped circulating her energy. Her face regained some color. Without waiting for the others to ask, she said, "After I killed the Blood Crow King, I was sneak attacked by a demon." A strange light flashed in Zhang Lai's eyes. He quickly asked, "What happened to that demon?" "I killed him." After Yunkurson spoke, she took out the corpse of a shadow demon from her universe ring. This is a shadow demon, a subordinate race of the blood demons of the first layer of the demonic world. Following that, Yunkurson introduced the combat characteristics of the shadow demons to the others. After answering some of Zhang Lai's questions about the demons, Yunkurson took the map from Xiaochen's hands. She pointed to the foot of the mountain behind the forest and said, "We will do it tomorrow night. We have to pass through the forest and coordinate with the other teams at the foot of the mountain." Zhang Lai felt it was strange and asked, "Senior Sister Yun, how did you get this map? Could it be that someone else entered this subspace before us?" Yunkurson put away the map and said indifferently, "From the reincarnation well, we can see the situation in this subspace. However, we can only see the outline of it. We are not sure what kind of demonic beasts there are in this forest." The night passed silently. When the sky brightened the next day, it was only the same as the sky on the surface. In this subspace, the sky was always scarlet. It made people's sense of time very blurry. After resting for a night, everyone's injuries had mostly recovered with the help of the blood replenishing pill. Gao Xiang had just opened his eyes when he saw Yunkurson looking at him expressionlessly. He was startled and muttered, "Senior Sister Yun, Yunkurson interrupted him and said coldly, "If there is a next time, I will kill you personally." At this moment, the others also got up. When they saw this scene, they did not feel any pity for Gao Xiang. If it were not for Gao Xiang's rashness yesterday, they would not be in such a sorry state. Xiaochen stopped cultivating and opened his eyes. He said to Yunkurson, "I'll go scout ahead. You all wait here for a while." Yunkurson stopped him, "Don't go out alone. Let's move together. This forest is very strange. It is better for everyone to be together." That seemed to make sense. If they met with any sudden incidents, Xiaochen might not be able to deal with it alone. After thinking for a while, Xiaochen did not argue further. Under Yunkurson's lead, everyone carefully made their way through the dark forest. After recovering their combat prowess, they moved very quickly. In an hour, they reached the end of the path that Xiaochen opened yesterday. Xiaochen drew his lunar shadow saber and sent out a few strands of saber chi. Electric light flickered in the dark forest. The large patch of shrubs in front was immediately turned into dust by the saber chi. Everyone was astonished. They did not expect a few casual strands of saber chi from Xiaochen to have such might. It was no weaker than a regular peak inferior grade martial saints. Xiaochen said, "I reached this place yesterday. As for the situation in front, I am not sure." Yunkurson nodded. "This should be the boundary between the core region of the forest and the periphery. We cannot be careless." Xiaochen, continue to open the path. Rumble. The shrubs and thorns blocking the way were all crushed by Xiaochen's saber chi. Just like that, Xiaochen forcefully opened up a path for everyone. After walking for another 5 kilometers, they still did not meet with any danger. Zhang Lai and the others could not help but relax. However, Yun Kursen's expression became increasingly grave. Be careful, don't be careless. Otherwise, you might lose your life at any moment, Yun Kursen reminded when she saw that everyone had relaxed their guard. However, they did not meet with any danger along the way. They did not pay too much attention to Yun Kursen's words. They only raised their guard slightly. Pu Ci. After walking for a few more kilometers, just as everyone's guard was at its lowest, countless scarlet tree branches tore through the air like sharp swords, flying at them at an extremely fast speed. Yun Kursen, who had been maintaining her guard, immediately drew her saber. The tree branches flying at her were chopped in half with a ka-ca sound and fell to the ground. The sudden turn of events caught everyone off guard. 2 of them were pierced through the heart by the glowing red tree branches and died on the spot. The instant the tree branches appeared, Xiaochen extended out his spiritual sense. He saw a black figure flash behind a tree 500 meters away. Withdrawing his spiritual sense, Xiaochen focused his gaze on the crowd. He executed the blue dragon cloud soaring art and drew an arc in the air. A purple saber chi blocked most of the surrounding tree branches with a shwa sound. Yun Kursen was not slow either. Her saber trembled in the air and the tree branches flying at her seemed to be pulled down by a formless force. They fell to the ground with a hua la la sound. Xiaochen was no stranger to these strange tree branches. He moved closer to Yun Kursen and said, "There are tree spirits in this forest. Furthermore, there are quite a few of them." "I know." Yun Kursen said calmly, "We have to find the location of the tree spirits. Otherwise, it will be difficult to deal with them." The tree spirits were plant-type demonic beasts that were hard to deal with. They hid in the forest. If they did not attack, there was no way to distinguish them from ordinary trees. Gao Xiang revealed an anxious expression, "Damn it. There is no way to find the tree spirits. We are going to be trapped here until we die." Bang! Xiaochen suddenly made his move. A dazzling saber light condensed on the snow-white saber. With a loud boom, he chopped a tree at the side in half. "Yi Chen, what are you doing?" Zhang Lai asked suspiciously. Xiaochen did not stop moving. In an instant, he chopped 4 or 5 trees on both sides in half. As Xiaochen chopped down more and more trees, the originally confused crowd finally understood why Xiaochen was doing this. Since they could not find the tree spirits, then they would chop down all the surrounding trees. Eventually, they would meet a hidden tree spirit. After a while, all the trees around them were chopped down. However, they still did not meet any tree spirits. However, their field of vision had broadened significantly. When Gao Xiang saw the situation, he could not help but want to go over and help. However, he was not in a rush this time. He first asked for Yun Kursen's opinion. Yun Kursen thought for a while and nodded in agreement to Gao Xiang's method. Gao Xiang was not weak. Furthermore, his martial techniques were more suitable for fighting with the tree spirits. After he discovered the tree spirits, he would be able to use Qianduan Peak's ferocious martial techniques to kill the tree spirits in one move. "Who?" Gao Xiang pulled out the huge saber from his back and revealed an excited expression. He stomped on the ground and shouted loudly. Then, he landed beside a tree. The huge saber carried a huge force as it hacked at the tree trunk. Bang! There was a loud sound. Strangely, the tree was not chopped down by Gao Xiang. Chapter 246. Gao Xiang had a surprised expression on his face. He couldn't figure out what was going on. Just as he was puzzled, just as he was feeling suspicious, a human face suddenly appeared on the tree trunk. It opened its huge mouth and cried out in pain. The tree shook violently. 2 branches hung down and lifted Gao Xiang up like hands, sending him into the huge mouth. Gao Xiang had no time to react. His body struggled violently in the air, crying out loudly. However, there was no place for him to push himself off, so he was fearless. When Xiao Chen saw this scene, he felt it was funny. He had chopped down at least 100 trees and had yet to meet a tree spirit. The moment Gao Xiang made a move, he found a tree spirit. He did not know if his luck was good or bad. Lightning evasion. Xiao Chen shouted and a bolt of lightning flashed beside Gao Xiang. Xiao Chen's figure appeared. The lunar shadow saber flashed with a cold light as it chopped down on the two branches that were grabbing Gao Xiang. Gao Xiang immediately landed on the ground with a furious expression on his face. A fiery red glow burned on his huge saber as he hacked at the huge mouth of the tree spirit. Hu Qi. Two branches suddenly extended from the ground and grabbed Gao Xiang, who was not paying attention. They lifted him back into the air. Boom! The surging saber light deviated and hacked at another tree. That tree instantly turned into a ball of fire and burned to ashes. It was clear how horrifying the might of this saber was. However, Xiao Chen could not be bothered with him. This person was a classic example of someone who had combat prowess but lacked intelligence. Pooh! A scarlet branch shot out from the huge mouth of the tree spirit. It pierced through the air and gave off a sonic boom. It instantly arrived in front of Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen had experienced this move before. Back then in Gloomy Forest, he could only flee. However, at this moment, it was not worth mentioning. Drawing the saber. There was a flash of cold light. The branch that was flying at supersonic speed was chopped in half by Xiao Chen. It was fast, but Xiao Chen was faster. Flight on wings, one-line chop. Break for me. The light on the snow-white saber was withdrawn. Xiao Chen's figure moved quickly in the air. The few tree branches that tried to grab him all missed. Xiao Chen brushed past the tree spirit. A moment later, the tree spirit exploded and split into two, turning back into an ordinary tree. The tree spirit died and the branches on the ground that were grabbing onto Gao Xiang also fell down. Gao Xiang removed the two branches that were wrapped around his ankles and felt extremely depressed. However, when he saw that Xiao Chen was still making his move, he had no choice but to pull himself together and stand up. Next, the two of them used the same method to chop down the surrounding trees one by one, finding the tree spirits hidden in the middle one by one. After that experience, Gao Xiang had learned his lesson. Before he attacked, he would pay attention to the branches on the ground and in the air. Only when he got close would he attack with his full strength. Fire-attributed essence was the nemesis of the tree spirits. Furthermore, with the ferocious martial techniques of Qianduan Peak, Gao Xiang could easily kill a tree spirit. As for Xiao Chen, it was even easier. His figure disappeared without a trace in the air. The tree spirit's branches could not catch him at all. When he got close, he chopped them in half. Although the tree spirits were hard to deal with, they were only peak rank 4 demonic beasts. If they were not very secretive, they would not have much of an advantage against a martial saint. With the addition of Yunkursen and the others, after 4 hours, all the surrounding tree spirits were pulled out and eliminated one by one. A Ganyu Peak disciple looked at the two disciples who had died first. His expression was somewhat grave. How unfortunate, junior brother Wang and senior brother Lu, their deaths were not worth it. Indeed, their deaths were not worth it. If they had not let their guard down, they could have avoided the sudden attack of the tree spirit. Unfortunately, there were no ifs in this world. After resting for a while and recovering their essence, the group continued on their way. This time, no one dared to disobey Yunkursen's words. They maintained their guard at all times. After all, there was already a living example. Xiao Chen's spiritual sense turned into rings of light and spread out, scanning the surroundings. However, he did not discover anything. He muttered to himself, "Strange, why has that black figure not appeared yet? Never mind, it will appear eventually. I just have to keep an eye out for it," Xiao Chen thought to himself as he withdrew his spiritual sense. The instant he withdrew his spiritual sense, a clump of black smoke appeared on the ground. A person with a pale face slowly appeared. The black figure muttered, "What a strong perception. I was nearly discovered." I have to be more careful later. Otherwise, I will not be able to complete Master's mission. Big brother, it is just a few human martial saints. Is there a need for us to be so vigilant? Another 9 clumps of black smoke appeared on the ground. A shadow demon could not help but ask. A trace of anger flashed on the pale face of the shadow demon that wanted to appear the most. He scolded, "Shut up. I already said not to make a move before they meet the scarlet demonic snake. You still dare to disobey my orders and control the tree spirit to make a move." A horrifying killing chi was emitted from this person. The shadow demon that spoke could not help but tremble. He did not dare to say anything more. In the dark forest, 10 shadow fiends appeared respectfully in front of a man in blood-red clothes. However, when one looked carefully, it was not a scarlet shirt. It was clearly a layer of squirming blood. His face and body were very blurry. The scarlet-clothed man said in a hoarse voice, "I remember I said to make a move when they passed by the scarlet demonic snake. I only left for a while." Who made that decision? One of the shadow demons could not help but feel fear. He knelt on the ground and said in a trembling voice, "Master, I acted blindly without thinking. I wanted to capture them all and offer them to Master. It has nothing to do with Big Brother." The scarlet-clothed man said, "Never mind, give me the 2 corpses. You can only make a move when you reach the scarlet demonic snake. Those people are not ordinary humans. If you are not confident, do not show yourself. Remember, in this space, for every single one of you who dies, the Lord Devil General's strength will be weakened. Your lives are for the Lord Devil General, not for yourselves." The shadow demon kneeling on the ground felt like he had been pardoned. He said continuously, "Thank you, Master. Thank you, Master. These are their corpses. After we dug them out, we used a secret technique to preserve them. They are absolutely fresh." The scarlet-clothed man laughed a few times and pointed at the corpses. After a while, the blood from the corpses spurted out and returned to the scarlet-clothed man's body. A burst of red light flashed continuously and the blood on the surface of the man in blood-red clothes kept surging. The man in blood-red clothes kept gurgling. After a while, the 2 corpses that were originally dead slowly stood up. The scene was very strange. The 2 cultivators who were originally Heavenly Saber Pavilion Corps disciples looked at the scarlet-clothed man. Their eyes were unfocused as they trembled and said, "Moss, pretty good material. It is worth it for me to spend some effort to modify you." The scarlet-clothed man laughed strangely. He stretched out his hand and shot out 2 scarlet blood pearls at the 2 corpses. Blood Demon's secret technique, Little Heavenly Demon transformation. The scarlet blood pearls instantly merged into the 2's foreheads. The originally pale faces of the 2 turned lustrous at a visible rate. The color in their eyes became denser and denser. The wounds on their bodies healed up and they looked no different from a normal person. Their eyes were filled with respect as they looked at the scarlet-clothed man. "Master, what instructions do you have?" The scarlet-clothed man waved his hand and said to the leader of the shadow demons, "I will temporarily hand over the control of these 2 blood corpses to you. You have to bring back all of those people. Especially the girl in white clothes and the man with purple light. Their corpses must be complete. They cannot be missing limbs. It would be best if they could be captured alive." "Yes, I promise to complete Master's instructions." After Xiao Chen and the others dealt with the tree spirits, they got closer to the core area of the forest. Finally, they met with the obstruction of demonic beasts. However, with the help of Xiao Chen's spiritual sense, everyone was able to prepare in advance. It was daunting but not dangerous. Gao Xiang used his saber to take out a rank 5 demonic beast demonic core. He revealed a satisfied expression as he smiled, "Even if we cannot kill the demons, these demonic cores are enough to break even. There should be no problem exchanging them for 1,000 inferior grade spirit stones. A peak rank 5 demonic beast would be good." The value of a demonic core was no less than a spirit core, it might even be slightly higher. Furthermore, the higher the rank of the demonic core, the greater the difference in value between it and a spirit core of the same rank. A complete rank 5 demonic core was worth 100 inferior grade spirit stones. A peak rank 5 demonic core was worth 1,000 inferior grade spirit stones. A rank 6 demonic core would be worth 10,000 inferior grade spirit stones. As for a peak rank 6 demonic core, its value would skyrocket to a horrifying level. It would require 100,000 inferior grade spirit stones. However, along the way, the group only met early rank 5 demonic beasts, which were equivalent to a medial grade martial saint. There were also a few rank 5 medial grade demonic beasts. However, they did not meet any peak rank 5 demonic beasts. Mu Hang cursed, "You really jinxed it." A peak rank 5 demonic beast is equivalent to an inferior grade martial king. In this space, its strength would increase explosively. At the very least, it would be equal to a medial grade martial king. If we really meet one, it would be a problem if we can escape unscathed. You want to kill it? You must be tired of living. Gao Xiang put away the demonic core and smiled embarrassedly. "I was just joking. We will not really meet one. If we do, my huge saber is not to be trifled with." Along the way, they met all sorts of demonic beasts. Finally, Gao Xiang had a place to display his strength. It had to be said that the might of Qianduan Peak's martial techniques were extremely ferocious. When Gao Xiang, who was a medial grade martial saint, attacked at full power, even a medial grade 5 demonic beast would find it difficult to deal with. If an early rank 5 demonic beast was struck by him, it would be severely injured. Xiao Chen's desperate fighting style changed everyone's impression of him. They were no longer as bad as before. Xiao Chen smiled faintly and ignored the two of them bickering. He had gained a lot as well. He had personally killed an early rank 5 demonic beast. He had personally killed 20 early rank 5 demonic beasts and 1 medial grade 5 demonic beast. If all of them were exchanged for spirit stones, he would get 2,000 or 3,000 inferior grade spirit stones. Seeing Yun Kursen standing guard at the side, Xiao Chen felt it was strange. He asked, "Senior Sister Yun, are you not going to take some demonic cores?" Yun Kursen said indifferently, "A rank 5 demonic core cannot be exchanged for many spirit stones. You can split it among yourselves, there is no need to care about me." Chapter 247. Everyone blushed with shame. This was already a few thousand inferior grade spirit stones, yet Yun Kursen did not care about it at all. This was very strange. After they cleaned up the battlefield, Xiao Chen continued to scout ahead. Now, everyone knew that Xiao Chen had a martial technique with outstanding perception. So, they were at ease with him scouting ahead. After a while, Xiao Chen suddenly stopped. His originally calm face revealed a grave expression. Yun Kursen saw that something was wrong with Xiao Chen's expression. She asked, "What's wrong? Is there a demonic beast blocking the way?" Xiao Chen nodded silently and smiled bitterly. The jinx came true. There is a demonic beast in front. Based on its aura, it is at least a peak rank 5 demonic beast. It might even be an early rank 6 demonic beast. When everyone heard this, their expressions changed. They looked at Gao Xiang with a murderous gaze. Zhang Lai said unhappily, "Your chance to shine is here. Go and kill it. We will wait for your good news." Gao Xiang said embarrassedly, "I was really just saying it casually. You can't blame me for this." Yun Kursen's expression did not change. She asked calmly, "Can you see what demonic beast it is? Can we go around it?" Xiao Chen shook his head, "I can't see what demonic beast it is. I only know that it is a huge snake. Its aura covers a large area. If we want to go around it without alerting it, we will need at least a day. Due to the aura of some demonic beasts being too strong, they would cause their spiritual sense to be blurry." So, Xiao Chen could not see what demonic beast it was. Yun Kursen thought for 10 seconds and quickly made a decision, "Since we cannot go around it, then let's fight it. Mu Hang, Zhang Lai, Gao Xiang, and Yi Chen, follow me. The rest of you, wait here for further orders." Of the 8 of them, the 5 of them were the strongest. The other 3 were slightly weaker. If they met a peak rank 5 or rank 6 demonic beast, they would not be able to gain an advantage. Sometimes, a large number of people wouldn't be able to produce a big advantage, and they might even become a burden. The three of them understood Yun Kursen's intentions. They were not unhappy and stayed where they were. Under Yun Kursen's lead, the five of them carefully made their way towards the unknown demonic beast. As they got closer, the aura and pressure of a peak rank 5 demonic beast became more obvious. Even breathing was somewhat difficult. Gao Xiang said with an unsightly expression, "This might not be a peak rank 5 demonic beast. It might be an early rank 6 demonic beast. It's impossible for a rank 5 demonic beast's aura to be so terrifying. It's suffocating." Zhang Lai smiled faintly and said, "In that case, what do you think we should do? If you are timid, no one will care about you." Gao Xiang argued, "When did I say I was afraid? I was just stating a fact." Before the battle started, the two of them started arguing. Yun Kursen frowned and said in a cold voice, "All of you, shut up. The battle has not started yet, and you are already arguing. You are messing things up. Are you tired of living?" Yun Kursen's words had always been effective. After she spoke, Zhang Lai and Gao Xiang immediately shut up. They only glared at each other. "Yi Chen, what do you think our chances of victory are?" Yun Kursen turned her head and asked Xiao Chen, who was leading the way. Xiao Chen thought for a while and said, "If it is a peak rank 5 demonic beast, we have a 50% chance of victory. If it is an early rank 6 demonic beast, we only have a 40% chance of victory." Actually, Xiao Chen did not say anything. If they included the sneak attacks from the shadows in the darkness, their chances of victory would be even lower. A look of worry flashed on Yun Kursen's delicate face. She muttered, "I hope it is only a peak rank 5 demonic beast." Rumble. At this moment, the ground suddenly started to tremble. The four of them quickly circulated their qi to stabilize their bodies. They were extremely focused. Ka Xie. Ka Xie. The sound of trees breaking resounded in everyone's ears. Unfortunately, they could clearly feel a huge creature quickly approaching them. Yun Kursen said calmly, "Danger, retreat." Everyone executed their movement techniques and retreated in the forest. Hu Qi. A black shadow smashed at the slowest person, Mu Heng. Mu Heng's entire body glowed with a purple light. He shouted and executed the 7 stars transposition. His figure instantly disappeared and reappeared at the top of a tree. Bang! There was a loud sound. In the next moment, a huge pit appeared in the flat ground. It was 10 meters wide and hundreds of meters long. As for its depth, it was impossible to see with one's eyes. Mu Heng took in a deep breath of cold air. If this had struck him, no matter how strong his physical body was, he would have suffered significant internal injuries. Just thinking about it made him tremble in fear. Taking advantage of this, everyone saw the demonic beast's body clearly. It was a black snake more than 200 meters tall. The scales on its body flickered with a cold, black light. Its upper body was upright. Its scarlet eyes were like 2 bright lanterns in the dark night sky. It opened its huge mouth and flicked its red tongue in and out continuously. When it stood upright, it was more than 100 meters tall. It was taller than the trees in the forest. In front of it, everyone was as insignificant as an ant. Suddenly, Xiao Chen was startled. He muttered, "This is a scarlet-crowned snake. That's not right. It has not grown a crown yet. It is still immature. Even so, after it turned into a demonic beast, it has the strength of an early rank 6 demonic beast." When the scarlet demonic snake saw Mu Heng suddenly disappear, it was clearly enraged. Its scarlet eyes swept across the ground and saw Gao Xiang, who was holding an eye-catching huge saber. "Damn it! Stop staring at me." When Gao Xiang felt the scarlet demonic snake's gaze, he said gloomily and quickly retreated. "Who?" The scarlet demonic snake's huge body shot up from the ground. Its speed was not slow at all. It opened its huge mouth, wanting to swallow the retreating Gao Xiang. Gao Xiang was startled. He did not expect the scarlet demonic snake's speed to be so horrifying. When the huge mouth approached, Xiaochen did a roll and dodged to the side. However, before Gao Xiang could relax, the scarlet demonic snake's red tongue shot out and lashed out at him. Lone Peak fatal blow. At the critical moment, Zhang Lai executed the 15th move of the Lingyun saber technique. The saber light that filled the sky turned into a huge mountain. It descended from the sky and pressed down on the scarlet demonic snake's body. Chi! Chi! The scarlet demonic snake felt pain and withdrew its long snake. With a flip, it spat out a black flame at Zhang Lai. The black flame dragged a long tail as it moved around in the air. Everywhere it passed, even the air was burned into nothingness. The mountain immediately melted. The mysterious phenomenon was forcefully broken. Zhang Lai vomited a large mouthful of blood. His complexion was pale as he fell from the sky. Gao Xiang stopped retreating. He did not expect that Zhang Lai, who had been bickering with him, would save him at the most critical moment. Seeing Zhang Lai injured, Gao Xiang roared angrily, "Damn beast! I'll fight it out with you." 3,000 blazing flames covered the sun, pouring into the saber. Heavenly flame clouds. In the crimson sky, 3,000 flaming clouds burned in the sky. Suddenly, it looked boundless, even the clouds covered the sun, and the raging flames reflected the entire forest red. The unending flaming clouds gathered in the air and formed a huge flaming whirlpool. With a "so" sound, it merged into Gao Xiang's huge saber. Boom! In that instant, Zhang Lai's body burned with a red flame. He looked like a flaming giant. The long saber wrapped in flames swung forward ferociously. The red flame was like a roaring flood dragon. The horrifying temperature melted all the trees within 100 meters. It rushed towards the scarlet demonic snake's head. The scarlet demonic snake's red eyes flickered continuously. It opened its mouth and spat out a black flame at the flame Zhang Lai sent out. Bang! 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 The red flame and black flame clashed in the air. A huge energy exploded in the air, creating a surging shockwave that spread out in all directions. Everywhere the shockwave passed, the ground was scorched. The two flames started to burn in the air. However, not long after, the black flame suddenly increased in size. It immediately shattered the red flame Zhang Lai sent out and continued to roar at him. Zhang Lai did not dare to be careless, but he did not retreat. He sent out flames continuously from his huge saber. After a few breaths, he finally managed to block the flames the scarlet demonic snake spat out. Swift horizontal saber. Just as the scarlet demonic snake was about to spit out another mouthful of black flame, Mu Heng, who was standing on the top of the tree, suddenly made his move. Mu Heng's entire body glowed with a purple light. He was like a steed flashing in the air. His entire body turned into a treasured saber, giving off a dazzling light. Bang! Mu Heng's palm turned into a saber and chopped down on the scarlet demonic snake's head. This was a saber that could split mountains. He chopped down without holding anything back. There was a muffled sound. The scarlet demonic snake's upright body was actually chopped down by this saber. However, that was all. This saber still did not manage to break through the scarlet demonic snake's skin. The instant the scarlet demonic snake landed on the ground, its huge tail gave off a thunderous sound as it tore through the air and swept at Mu Heng. Mu Heng, who was in the air, had no place to borrow strength from. Just as the scarlet demonic snake was about to strike him, his figure strangely disappeared in the air again. Pu Ci. The huge snake tail gave off another thunderous sound in the air. Soon, it sensed Mu Heng's figure. With a schwa sound, it swept at him again. Its speed was much faster than before. Mu Heng's expression turned grave as he executed the 7 stars transposition. His figure flashed 7 times in the air. Every time his figure flashed in the air, the huge tail would follow closely behind. Each time, it would be faster and more dangerous than the one before. Swirling peaks scatter clouds. Zhang Lai, who had swallowed a blood-replenishing pill and a qi-returning pill, stood up once again with his saber in hand. His eyes blazed with a fierce fighting spirit. He stood up once again. The peak small perfection saber intent infused into the Lingyun saber technique turned into a lone peak. It created a boundless strong wind as it smashed towards the scarlet demonic snake. Mu Heng gained a chance to catch his breath. His figure flashed in the air again and he finally managed to dodge the scarlet demonic snake's tail that he could not avoid. The rolling cloud crushing mountain infused with the small perfection saber intent crashed into the scarlet demonic snake's body. This time, it finally broke through the scarlet demonic snake's tough scales. The strong wind was like a saber, causing black blood to spurt out in the air and cover the entire forest. The heavenly flames connected to the clouds and a huge flaming whirlpool formed in the air once again. Chapter 248. Holding his saber horizontally, Mu Heng, who had recovered for a while, gave off a resplendent purple light. He turned into a treasured saber and attacked again. When the three of them met this early rank 6 demonic beast, they did not dare to make any probing attacks. They all brought out their full essence, sending out all sorts of powerful moves. The three of them did not care about their essence and attacked with all their might. The horrifying rank 6 demonic beast, the scarlet demonic snake, was unable to take them down in a short period of time. The aftershocks of the intense battle spread throughout the forest. Flames rushed to the sky, shock waves surged, and there were thunderous booms. Due to the shock waves of the battle, rows of tall and broad trees within a radius of 1,000 meters were directly burned to ashes. Deep pits appeared continuously on the ground, shaking and trembling non-stop. Xiao Chen and Yun Kursen were not in a rush to make a move. They continued to gather their auras and placed their fingers on the saber hilt. Xiao Chen placed his finger on the hilt of his saber and stared at the battlefield, prepared to deal a fatal blow at any moment. The two of them knew that although Mu Heng and the other two looked like they were locked in a stalemate with the scarlet demonic snake, the scarlet demonic snake was not injured at all. When the three of them exhausted their essence, the situation would turn around. Hence, the two of them were waiting for the best opportunity. When they made their move, they would decide the situation with one saber strike. The three people who remained in the forest looked at the fiery light and the surging shock waves of the battlefield. They were all shocked and horrified. What a horrifying battle! Could they have met with a rank 6 demonic beast? A Ganyu Peak female disciple said worriedly. Another person's face was filled with worry as well. He continued, that should be it. Yun Kursen is already strong enough to fight against a peak rank 5 demonic beast. Adding in the others, they should have a 50% chance of killing it. Only a rank 6 demonic beast would cause such a huge commotion. The remaining person said, an early rank 6 demonic beast is already as strong as a medial grade martial king. I wonder if Yun Kursen and the others can handle it. I hope they can, right? Otherwise, with our strength, it will be very difficult to leave this place. If we leave this forest, only death awaits us. The female disciple of the Ganyu Peak thought for a moment before saying, should we go and take a look? If anything happens, we can go and help. The person next to him laughed and said, don't be silly. If it's an ordinary rank 5 demonic beast, it's naturally easier with more people. But it's a peak rank 5 demonic beast and a rank 6 demonic beast. We'll only cause more trouble if we go. Let's wait for their good news. Everyone stopped talking and began to wait anxiously. This was a battle that would decide their own fate. See nearby. Suddenly, a voice came from behind the three of them. It was a female disciple from Ganyu Peak. Puzzled, he turned around and saw that his two companions, who had died earlier, were standing there with a smile. Junior brother Wang, senior brother Lu, didn't you two die? The three of them were puzzled. The two of them walked a few steps closer and explained, we were lucky. We don't know what happened, but we suddenly woke up in the middle of the night. The soil you buried was a little loose, so we climbed out on our own. By the way, where are senior sister Yun and the others? The two of them asked with puzzled expressions. This scene was incredibly strange. People who were clearly dead suddenly appeared before the three of them. This made them feel suspicious. They did not know what was going on. The three of them exchanged glances and communicated silently. Then, they started to ask the two of them some questions. In the end, the two of them answered fluently without any hesitation. This continued for a long time before the three of them believed that the two of them were still the same people. The female disciple from Ganyu Peak revealed a joyful expression. She said, "That's great. The two of you are not dead. Senior sister Yun and the others are in front, PUCI." Before this female disciple could finish speaking, a short saber appeared on her chest. The smile on her face froze, and a life vanished just like that. "Junior brother Wang, what are you doing?" another person exclaimed as he walked forward. However, before he could take a few steps, another person stabbed him in the back and pierced his heart. Before the last person could react, 4 shadow demons appeared behind him at the same time. Each of them executed a move, silently ending this person's life. Who? With a schwa sound, the 3 shadow demons burrowed into the 3 corpses. They stretched their limbs and smiled. Humans are really stupid creatures. When the leader of the shadow demons saw the scene of the battle, he said, "No wonder Master wanted us to make a move when they passed by the scarlet demonic snake. These people are too strong. Indeed, I'm afraid the scarlet demonic snake will not be able to deal with them. However, with these corpses, it should be much easier to deal with them." Bang! Gao Xiang's huge saber covered in boundless flame struck the scarlet demonic snake's tail violently. There was an explosive sound and Gao Xiang vomited a mouthful of blood as he flew back. Gao Xiang fell to the ground and revealed a pained expression. He wanted to stand up, but he could no longer do so. Zhang Lai, who was at the side, was helpless as well. He sat cross-legged where he was. When his mysterious phenomenon was broken, he suffered many injuries. After that, he forced himself to continue fighting, adding injuries to his injuries. He was the first of the 3 to lose his ability to fight. 7 stars transposition, shifting stars. Mu Heng shouted and drew a circle in the air with his left hand. A strange ball of air formed in front of him and repelled the black flames that the scarlet demonic snake spat at him. The scarlet demonic snake could not dodge in time. The horrifying black flames burned its body, causing its huge body to roll on the ground. After Mu Heng made this move, the purple light on his body completely vanished. His complexion was incomparably pale and blood leaked out of the corner of his mouth. He took a few steps back before he could stabilize himself. Attack! Xiao Chen and Yun Kursen exchanged glances. They did not hesitate and the aura that they had been gathering for a long time instantly soared into the sky. Heavenly music roar, piercing the heavens. Yun Kursen shouted and immediately drew her saber from its scabbard. The slender saber trembled continuously, giving off a drawn-out sound. Ding! Ding! Dang! Dang! The sound was like thunder, unending. Finally, it gathered together and formed a heavenly sound that could break the heavens. The saber pointed at the scarlet demonic snake that had just gotten rid of the black flames. A sound wave-like saber chi descended from the sky and entered the scarlet demonic snake's body. Bang! 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 A muffled thunder-like sound came from the scarlet demonic snake's huge body. Its huge body bounced up and down from the explosions, causing the ground to tremble non-stop. Mu Heng and the other 2, who had exhausted their essence, staggered on the ground. They only managed to stabilize themselves after much difficulty. Soaring clouds in the 9 heavens, road twisting around peak. Xiao Chen pushed off the ground gently and his figure flashed into the air, rising higher and higher. In the sky, the layers of white clouds suddenly rolled and surged. Xiao Chen appeared indistinctly within the white clouds. Dang! Suddenly, a thunderous sound came from the churning white clouds. All the white clouds scattered in an instant. Xiao Chen's body moved in an arc in the air. As Xiao Chen slid down the arc, a mountain peak slowly appeared from the top to the bottom. Clouds and mist lingered on the mountain peak. There were birds, beasts, flowers, trees, pavilions, and everything else. It was like a real mountain peak had appeared above everyone's heads. Zhang Lai, who was on the ground, looked at the mysterious phenomenon that Xiao Chen executed. His eyes were filled with a strange light as he muttered, "There are mountains and clouds. However, this is not the true state of mountains and clouds. Clouds need to be accompanied by thunder. Mountains need to be accompanied by flowers, birds, and trees. Not a single one can be missing. 9 heavens soaring clouds, road twisting around peak. So this is the true 17th move of the Lingyun saber technique." Shua. Just as Zhang Lai was exclaiming in surprise, the great perfection mountain peak suddenly disappeared and merged into Xiao Chen's body. In that instant, Xiao Chen's aura suddenly changed. It had the grandeur of a mountain and the faintness of clouds. This saber strike also became very strange. Zhang Lai was stunned for a long time. Suddenly, he said excitedly, "Road twisting around peak, road twisting around peak. How laughable! How laughable! I thought I understood it. I did not expect that I was still tricked in the end." The scarlet demonic snake on the ground, who was in unbearable pain, felt a dangerous aura. It endured the pain in its body as it swung its huge tail in the air. In an instant, the sound of explosions rang out in the air as the giant tail swung horizontally. The shockwaves from the explosions drained the essence of the 3 people on the ground. They could not retaliate at all. Their chi and blood surged and they vomited another large mouthful of blood. Bang! The saber and the snake tail clashed in the air. A shockwave immediately exploded, creating a visible shockwave that spread out in all directions like water. Xiao Chen's body was like a mountain. Under the huge force of the scarlet demonic snake, he did not move at all. He did not show any signs of moving back. Under the huge force, the chi and blood in his body surged. Xiao Chen did his best to circulate his essence. His heart was not in a mess. The mysterious phenomenon that had already merged into his body was unleashed through the saber. Pu Ci. A bloody wound appeared on the scarlet demonic snake's huge tail. Its huge body was actually knocked into the air by this saber strike infused with the state of mountain. Black blood dripped down like rain. Xiao Chen's essence trembled, and the corrosive black blood was blocked outside his body. Rumble. The huge scarlet demonic snake was like a sandbag. After it flew far away, it landed heavily on the ground and rolled for a long time. Its mountain-like body caused the ground to tremble continuously. So, Xiao Chen and Yun Kursen did not stop moving. They did not want to let go of this opportunity. The scarlet demonic snake's recovery ability and life force were very shocking. They could not give it too much time to recover. The scarlet demonic snake had already received countless attacks from Mu Heng and the other 2. However, it did not suffer any serious injuries. Now that the 2 of them managed to sneak attack it, it was severely injured. Naturally, they had to grab hold of this opportunity and not give it a chance to make a comeback. The 2 of them instantly rushed to the scarlet demonic snake's side and used all sorts of martial techniques to attack it. Every saber strike from Xiao Chen left a deep wound on the scarlet demonic snake's body, causing it unbearable pain. However, when Yun Kursen's slender saber struck the scarlet demonic snake, she could only leave a shallow mark. Her saber seemed to be a superior grade profound ranked spirit weapon. It could not break through the scarlet demonic snake's defense. Chapter 249. Xiao Chen found an opening and took out the roaming dragon saber from the universe ring. He tossed it to Yun Kursen and said, "Use my saber first." Yun Kursen nodded her thanks and caught the roaming dragon saber. The instant her right hand grasped the saber hilt, a ripple appeared on her previously calm face. She exclaimed in astonishment, "This is a heaven-ranked spirit weapon." Yun Kursen's stable mental state actually wavered for a moment. She suspected that Xiao Chen had tossed the wrong spirit weapon. Unexpectedly, he casually tossed out a heaven-ranked spirit weapon. Bang! A strong wind blew and a dangerous aura arrived. Yun Kursen suddenly recovered her wits. Her body instinctively dodged to the side, dodging the scarlet demonic snake's swing. The scarlet demonic snake, which had recovered from the 2 fatal strikes, was thoroughly enraged by the endless attacks of the 2. Its 100-meter-tall upper body stood upright and its huge tail spun around in the air. Unexpectedly, it actually grew longer. In the end, the tail grew longer and sharper. The sharp tail tore through the air and gave off ear-piercing sonic booms. It stabbed at Xiao Chen continuously. It was as fast as lightning, startling Xiao Chen and causing him to quickly retreat. Bang! 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 There was a loud sound where Xiao Chen was standing earlier. A bottomless hole appeared in the ground. Xiao Chen retreated continuously. That all-like tail chased after him relentlessly. Bottomless holes appeared on the ground. The speed of the snake tail increased every time. Xiao Chen did not even have the chance to turn around. While the snake tail attacked Xiao Chen, the scarlet demonic snake did not stop opening its mouth. Streams of horrifying black flames flew towards Yun Kursen. However, Yun Kursen's situation was slightly better than Xiao Chen's. She had obtained the inferior grade heaven-ranked spirit weapon, the roaming dragon saber. Even if she could not dodge the black flames, she could still knock them away with a full-powered strike. Wang! There was a dragon roar and Yun Kursen suddenly stopped dodging while holding the roaming dragon saber. The cold saber suddenly lit up with a boundless brilliance. There seemed to be a swimming dragon circling around the saber in the brilliance. Bang! The saber light chopped the black flames in half. Yun Kursen did not hesitate to charge at the scarlet demonic snake. Under the huge body of the scarlet demonic snake, Yun Kursen's body was like that of a baby. When the scarlet demonic snake saw Yun Kursen rushing at it, a cruel light flashed in its green eyes. The huge mouth stopped swallowing the black flames and swallowed it. Yun Kursen, Dragon Kursen. Yun Kursen nimbly dodged and easily dodged. It was like she had eyes on the back of her head. She swung her saber and the sharp saber blade chopped the long red tongue in half. Tian Ling to Xiao Xiao, Tian, He Yun, Xiao's sovereign, Chen, Tian, Kuan, Yun, star is, Yang, and Xiao Chen, Kuan Yu, in dragon. Flight on wings, horizontal slash. The light on the snow-white lunar shadow saber was withdrawn and a cold light flashed. With a schwa sound, it chopped off the scarlet demonic snake's 3-meter-long tail. After they landed, Yun Kursen's and Xiao Chen's gazes met. The two of them smiled at each other. The two of them had a tacit understanding. They knew that this scarlet demonic snake was already an arrow at the end of its flight and would not be able to hold on for much longer. It was time to launch its final counterattack. Even if it was an early rank 6 demonic beast, after being struck by the 2 peak Earth-ranked martial techniques, it would suffer from severe internal injuries. Coupled with the relentless attacks from before, every strike of his blade had drawn blood. It was not a joke. The scarlet demonic snake's continuous and terrifying attacks were actually the scarlet demonic snake's final attack. If the two of them could persevere, the scarlet demonic snake would definitely lose. It was only a matter of time. If the scarlet demonic snake could not endure this ferocious attack, it would obtain the final victory. The remaining 3 were no longer a threat to it. Bang! 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 Xiao Chen brandished his saber and brought out the Lingyun saber technique state of mountain to its limits. He was as stable as Mount Tai, blocking all the scarlet demonic snake's attacks. This created opportunities for Yun Kursen, who was wielding a heaven-ranked spirit weapon, to attack. One was in charge of defense and the other was in charge of offense. They worked very well together. The scales of the battlefield started to tilt in favor of Xiao Chen and the others. The signs of the scarlet demonic snake's defeat became increasingly obvious. Senior Brother Mu, Senior Brother Zhang, are you all right? The 3 Heavenly Saber Pavilion disciples controlled by the shadow demons suddenly walked over. They had nervous expressions as they headed for Gao Xiang and the others. Zhang Lai felt it was strange and asked, "Why are you here? Didn't I tell you to wait for us there? We saw that the commotion here was too big and were worried about you. So, we rushed over." The female disciple from the Ganyu Peak helped Gao Xiang up from the ground. What's the situation now? Gao Xiang thanked her and said, it's about time. The scarlet demonic snake is already an arrow at the end of its flight. Yi Chen and Yun Kursen should be ending their battle soon. Pu Ci. The opportunity that Xiao Chen and Yun Kursen had been searching for crossed paths in the air. Two resplendent saber lights lit up in the air and a large amount of black blood spurted out. The scarlet demonic snake's huge body was struck by the two of them at the same time. It was instantly split in half. Heavenly melody burst. Yun Kursen shouted and pointed the roaming dragon saber in her hand into the air. A formless saber chi infused into the scarlet demonic snake's broken body. Bang! 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 The sound wave infused into the scarlet demonic snake's upper body exploded. The upper half of its body, which was more than 100 meters long, was blasted beyond recognition. It was covered in blood, it could not be more dead. Yun Kursen stretched out her hand and took out the scarlet demonic beast's rank 6 demonic core. She casually tossed it to Xiao Chen and said, this is for you, I don't need it. Xiao Chen stretched out his hand and caught it. He was in slight disbelief. A rank 6 demonic core that was worth 10,000 inferior grade spirit stones. Yun Kursen casually tossed it over as if it was just a worthless rock. Yun Kursen explained, I do not lack spirit stones. You can just split it with them later. As for how to split it, you can decide. Xiao Chen was not a pretentious person. He nodded and thanked her before putting it away. Yun Kursen did not lack spirit stones. Actually, Xiao Chen did not lack spirit stones either. However, spirit stones were like banknotes in his previous life. The more, the better. Xiao Chen would not dislike having too many. The two of them each swallowed a medicinal pill and took out an inferior grade spirit stone. Then, they sat down and adjusted themselves. They finally managed to kill the rank 6 demonic core in front of them without any mishaps. They relaxed slightly. After a while, the essence in the spirit stone was completely absorbed. The two of them stood up at the same time. With their current cultivation, one inferior grade spirit stone could only recover half of their peak essence. The two of them knew that they did not have enough time to recover. Hence, they did not intend to waste any more time recovering their essence. Seeing Xiao Chen and Yun Kursen stand up, Mu Heng, Zhang Lai, and the 3 heavenly saber pavilion disciples who were possessed by the shadow demon followed them. Zhang Lai and the other 2 had suffered significant internal injuries. After resting for a while, they were barely able to suppress their injuries. When Yun Kursen saw the other 3, a strange look flashed in her eyes. She vaguely gave Xiao Chen a look. Xiao Chen was mildly astonished. He scanned the 3 of them with his spiritual sense. After a while, he understood what was going on. Why are the 3 of you here? Didn't I tell you to wait for us there? Yun Kursen asked the 3 of them calmly. The female disciple from Ganyu Peak replied, the commotion from the battle was too big. We were worried, so we rushed over. Yun Kursen did not continue to pursue the matter. She said, never mind, there is no danger now. However, we cannot continue on our way. Let's go back and rest first. The 3 of them did not suspect anything. They turned around and headed back the way they came. Pu Ci. Xiao Chen and Yun Kursen attacked at the same time. The roaming dragon saber in Yun Kursen's hand flashed with a cold light in the air. She stabbed the chest of a shadow demon from behind. Xiao Chen's figure flashed in the air. He punched a shadow demon with a heavy force. The 2 of them continued, one saber and one fist, striking the final shadow demon. All this happened in the time it took for a spark to fly. The 3 shadow demons did not even have time to react before they were struck. Mu Heng and the other 2 looked at each other, not knowing what happened. Senior Sister Yun and Yi Chen, what are you doing? Yun Kursen did not reply. She said indifferently, you will understand in a while. The 3 people on the ground let out pained cries. Zhang Lai and the others watched in astonishment as black smoke came out from their bodies. The three shadow demons had pained expressions on their faces as they fell to the ground. Clearly, they were severely injured. Hu Qi. Seeing that their companions' identities were exposed, the other shadow demons stopped hiding and came out from the ground. 7 pale shadow demons suddenly appeared in front of everyone. 3 shadow demons did not hesitate to charge at Mu Heng, Zhang Lai, and the others. The remaining 4 surrounded Xiao Chen and Yin Kursen. The 2 Heavenly Saber Pavilion disciples who had already turned into blood corpses also slowly appeared. They charged at Xiao Chen and Yin Kursen. The battle had just ended, they had not even recovered a quarter of their strength when they were in danger again. This was especially so for Mu Heng and the other 2. They had not even recovered a quarter of their strength. Under the attacks of the 3 shadow demons, they were in danger. Xiao Chen and Yin Kursen's situation was not very optimistic either. The 2 of them had to deal with 2 shadow demons and a blood corpse respectively. Furthermore, they had only recovered half of their strength. They could not find the time to help Mu Heng and the others. The attacks of the shadow demons were very strange. They were different from the martial techniques of the Tianwu continent. They relied on their instincts to attack. They were very direct and did not have any fancy moves. They were like demonic beasts that stood upright. However, if that was all, it would not be a problem for Xiao Chen. The most troublesome thing was that their movement techniques were very strange. There were no traces to be found. Sometimes, when Xiao Chen clearly struck with his saber, he would discover that he only struck a clump of formless black smoke. If he could strike them, Xiao Chen was confident that he could kill them in one strike. Unfortunately, they were everywhere, in the sky, on the ground, and in all directions. It was hard to tell which was the real one. It was very troublesome. There was also the Heavenly Saber Pavilion disciples who had been turned into blood corpses. Not only did their strength increase by 20%, they did not feel any pain when they struck them. They continued to attack you. I can't conserve my strength anymore. Otherwise, even if I can escape, Mu Heng and the others will die here, Xiao Chen thought quickly. Chapter 250. After making up his mind, Xiao Chen circulated the dragon and tiger body sculpting art as he fought. Instantly, all the bones in his body started to crackle. A layer of golden light slowly appeared on the surface of his body. The power of the tiger and dragon slowly formed. Xiao Chen suddenly stopped his move and did not dodge the attack of a shadow demon. When the shadow demon saw that Xiao Chen's movement suddenly slowed down, it thought that his essence could not keep up and an opening appeared. A sinister smile appeared on its face, and its 5 sharp fingers quickly stabbed forward. King Chang. The sharp fingers immediately tore through Xiao Chen's clothes. However, when they made contact with his flesh, they gave off a metallic sound and were unable to advance any further. How can this be? The shadow demon thought it was very strange. Although this attack did not pierce into Xiao Chen's heart, it shook his heart, affecting his internal organs. Xiao Chen endured the feeling of his qi and blood surging. Xiao Chen suddenly shouted and the image of a tiger and dragon flew out from his body. The tiger and dragon roared, and in an instant, his entire body was filled with a horrifying force. Ferocious tiger leaving the mountains. There was a tiger's roar. Before the shadow demon could retreat, its head was crushed by Xiao Chen's horrifying punch of 6,000 kilograms of force. It was dead. Seeing the remaining shadow demon and blood corpse rushing over to save the situation, Xiao Chen smiled coldly. The qi whirlpool in his dantian spun twice. A surging and pure lightning attributed essence flowed through his meridians and into the snow-white blade of the lunar shadow saber. A resplendent purple light flickered in the dark forest. It was very dazzling. Drawing the saber. This was the first time Xiao Chen infused the pure state of thunder into the rushing thunder saber technique. Dark clouds covered the sky, and thunder roared endlessly. It was like a huge army galloping. Xiao Chen's original attribute was the lightning attribute. After he advanced to martial saint, the essence in his body had completely turned into the purest lightning attributed essence. In such a state, when Xiao Chen used the rushing thunder saber technique, the strength he could bring out was even stronger than the Lingyun saber technique, which required the state of mountains and the state of clouds. 3 bolts of lightning tore through the night sky and gathered on Xiao Chen's saber. Xiao Chen's figure flashed in the air and the other shadow demon was instantly chopped in half. The essence containing the state of thunder still flickered in the wound, not disappearing even after a long time. Arclight slash. Xiao Chen did not stop moving. Thunder roared in the sky again. Xiao Chen's saber moved in an arc in the air, chopping the fleeing blood corpse in half. It could not resist at all. Soaring heaven slash. Xiao Chen pushed off the ground and pointed his lunar shadow saber at the sky. Then, he soared into the sky. There was nothing fancy about it, but it carried an indomitable and boundless aura. Qi. 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 Xiao Chen's body was like a bolt of lightning, flashing in the air. With a shua sound, the 3 shadow demons surrounding Mu Hang and the others were pierced through, dying in that instant. Xiao Chen's body paused in the air, and the unceasing rumbling of thunder suddenly stopped. It was like the calm before the storm. It was extremely quiet in an instant. Rushing thunder chop. Xiao Chen shouted. He held his saber with both hands and chopped down at the blood corpse surrounding Yunkerson. Pu Ci. A resplendent saber light tore through the water-like air and appeared above the blood corpse's head. In the next moment, the intense electric light on the saber light exploded. There was a clap of thunder that was even more intense than any of the previous ones. With a shua sound, the blood corpse was chopped in half by this horrifying saber strike. Then, the electric light blasted it into nothing. The rushing thunder second chain chop, the energy accumulated from the 4 moves of the rushing thunder saber technique was unleashed without any restraint. The shadow demon that Xiao Chen struck did not even have the chance to cry out miserably. The shadow demon that was struck by Xiao Chen was immediately chopped into a pool of blood. The remaining shadow demon was horrified. It decisively gave up on attacking Yunkerson. Its body turned into a clump of black smoke and quickly flew backward. Trying to run? Do you think you can? Xiao Chen sheathed his saber and snorted coldly as he watched the fleeing shadow demon. A boundless purple flame started to burn in Xiao Chen's right eye. With one glance, it looked like a sea of flames. The blazing flames started to slowly gather together. Finally, they gathered into a clump and formed a strange purple flame in Xiao Chen's right eye. Purple thunder, true fire, shoot! The strange purple flame formed a purple arrow in the air. It was like a shooting star, silently catching up to the shadow demon that had already fled 1,000 meters away. Explode! A horrifying explosion came from the distance. The purple flames suddenly flashed, and the origin of lightning in the flame blossomed. Countless arcs of electricity filled the entire space. Aside from Yunkerson, everyone else was dumbfounded when they saw this. They did not dare believe this was real. Xiao Chen stood still and withdrew his hand. He had already expected the rushing thunder saber technique to be very strong after it grasped the state of thunder. However, he was still shocked at its might. He believed that if he completely grasped this saber technique, aside from some peak late-stage martial saints, no one within the martial saint realm would be his match. Recollecting his thoughts, Xiao Chen turned his head and discovered Gao Xiang clutching his chest. He was lying on the ground in pain. His lips were black and he was trembling non-stop. These were the symptoms of being poisoned. Xiao Chen quickly walked over and asked Zhang Lai, "What's going on with him?" Zhang Lai had an extremely sad expression on his face. His voice trembled as he explained what happened to Xiao Chen. It turned out that when the shadow demons suddenly attacked, Gao Xiang, who was the slowest among the 3 of them, had yet to recover from his injuries. As a result, he was immediately stabbed in the chest by the sharp fingers of a shadow demon. Originally, the wound was not very deep. At first, Gao Xiang did not pay much attention to it. He often went out for experiential training and had encountered many similar wounds. With the physique of a cultivator, this was not a fatal wound. However, he did not expect the shadow demon's attack to contain a slow-acting poison. By the time he reacted, the poison had already spread throughout his body, and he was unable to force it out. Mu Heng asked from the side. Yi Chen, do you have a solution? Xiao Chen shook his head. In the compendium of cultivation, there was a medicinal pill that could cure hundreds of poisons. Unfortunately, Xiao Chen did not have the time to refine it. It was impossible for him to find a cultivation technique. Maybe Yun Kursen has a solution. This thought suddenly appeared in Xiao Chen's mind. This feeling was very strange. It was purely a feeling of intuition. Yun Kursen had rushed over a long time ago. However, she was observing Gao Xiang's situation from the side. She did not say anything. At this moment, she felt Xiao Chen's gaze. She shook her head and said, I do have a rank 6 detoxification pill. However, the poison has already permeated his bones and heart vessels. Unless someone from the medical sage clan comes personally, or an immortal grade holy herb that is at least 1,000 years old, there is no way to save him. When Gao Xiang heard this, his pained face slowly revealed a gentle expression. He smiled bitterly. I started cultivating at the age of 6. I entered the Heavenly Saber Pavilion at the age of 16. Now, I am 26 and am already a medial grade martial saint. I am not satisfied to die like this. It was like the final radiance of a setting sun. The pained expression on Gao Xiang's face suddenly vanished. His complexion started to turn rosy. He took off the bag on his back and handed it to Zhang Lai. He muttered, these are the demonic cores that I obtained along the way. I originally thought I could exchange them for some medial grade spirit stones after I got out and raised my cultivation to peak medial grade martial saint. Now, I can only let you guys benefit from it. The path of a cultivator has always been rugged. Everyone who has taken this path should have expected such a day. My misfortune should serve as a reminder to all of you. No matter when you fight, you cannot be careless. After Gao Xiang spoke, his eyes revealed a look of determination. In the next moment, he circulated the last of his essence and shattered his heart, dying from it. Gao Xiang chose to end his own life. This was a somewhat tragic way of dying. Gao Xiang's death caused everyone to feel melancholy. While they felt pity and sorrow, they also thought of themselves. In the Tianwu continent, the strong were revered. In the eyes of the strong, the weak were like ants. If they wanted to kill them, they could do so at will. If they were unhappy, they could trample on your dignity. Under such cruel circumstances, every cultivator would use all sorts of methods to cultivate diligently, in order to pursue the path of the strong. However, this path was too difficult. Aside from having to face all sorts of open and secret fights, they also had to be careful during experiential training to avoid dying in the hands of demonic beasts. Life was too fragile on this path. This mission was also a form of experiential training. However, in the end, before they even reached the halfway point, 6 people in the group had already lost their lives. Xiao Chen casually sent out a clump of purple thunder true fire and covered Gao Xiang's corpse. The corpse immediately started burning. Burying the corpse in the forest had already been proven to be a mistake. It would only be used by the enemy. Hence, no one felt that Xiao Chen's actions were inappropriate. When Yun Kursen saw Gao Xiang's burning corpse, an undetectable, complicated look flashed in her eyes. However, it disappeared in a flash. No one noticed it. After a while, Yun Kursen said calmly, rest for an hour. After that, we will continue on our way. Similar massacres were taking place in other places in the forest. Murong Chang's figure moved erratically in the air, creating a cool breeze. After a while, a saber light flashed and a scarlet-clothed man was chopped into pieces. The blood demon's body, which could have merged back together, could no longer do so. It had turned into a corpse. Murong Chang's stern face was expressionless as he wiped off the blood on his saber. Then, he sheathed his saber with a shwa sound. The blood demon's corpse on the ground exploded, turning into pools of blood that shot into the air. Behind Murong Chang, there were 2 members of the blood demon. Their lips had turned black and their expressions were unsightly as they fell to the ground. They had also been inflicted with the shadow demon's slow-acting poison. It had spread throughout their entire body. There was no way to save them. Senior brother Murong, do you have any way to save my junior brother? He is about to die, a Gongyu Peak disciple said anxiously. Murong Chong shook his head and did not say anything. He carefully put away the demon core that the blood demon left behind. Then, he hugged his saber and sat to the side. He closed his eyes and recovered his strength. Chapter 251. The life of a cultivator was like that of an ant. If they were not strong, they could only be used as cannon fodder by others. Murong Chong thought to himself. Hence, aside from becoming strong, he had no other choice. Otherwise, he would end up like these people. On a cliff, in a majestic palace, on a blood-red throne. The blood demon general, who was wearing a scarlet cloak, held a golden wine cup in his hand. He sat expressionlessly on the throne. If one looked carefully, the blood demon general's appearance was not much different from that of a human youth. However, his scarlet eyes were filled with a boundless killing intent on his pale face, causing one to tremble in fear. Below the great hall, there were 12 tall pillars on both sides. 10 blood demons wearing scarlet clothes stood on both sides of the pillars. The blood demon general brought the golden wine cup to his lips and took a sip, leaving a scarlet mark on his lips. It turned out that this was not some fine wine. It was a cup of scarlet human blood. It was very likely that it was left behind by the captured disciples of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. The blood demon general wiped the blood off his lips and revealed an intoxicated expression. He said indifferently, "What delicious human blood. I have not tasted it in this space for more than 20 years. Dang! Dang!" Suddenly, a blood demon covered in blood walked over anxiously from the great hall. When he walked forward, he knelt before the throne. He said respectfully, "Lord Demon General, the shadow demons that we sent out have been completely annihilated. According to your instructions, I sent out all the blood demons in the palace 6 hours ago. Because Lord Demon General was in closed-door cultivation, I could only inform you now." The blood demon general revealed a faint smile. He placed the golden wine cup on the table beside the throne and said indifferently, "No matter, it is within my expectations. Dogs. I did not expect it to be of any use. Why bother being a projection? They are not even comparable to dogs, all the more I would not care. You may withdraw first. You have done well. As long as you can block that group of people for one day and wait for the ceremony to be over, everything else will be fine." The person kneeling on the ground quickly got up and left the great hall after thanking the blood demon general. The blood demon general picked up the wine cup again. There was a frightening light in his scarlet eyes. He drained the cup of blood in one gulp and said coldly, "One day, I only need 1 day to turn the Heavenly Saber Pavilion back into rubble." "Is that so? I'm afraid you won't have the chance." A cold mocking voice suddenly sounded in the hall. Within the gloomy forest, Xiao Chen's group of 4 continued forward. The scarlet demonic snake's territory in this forest was very large. Even after walking for an hour, they did not encounter any other demonic beasts. After walking out of the scarlet demonic snake's territory, they once again encountered various kinds of demonic beasts. The weakest was a rank 5 primary demonic beast. Occasionally, they would encounter a rank 5 intermediate demonic beast. They even encountered a peak 5th order demonic beast. Fortunately, it had not yet reached the 6th order. Although everyone had a hard time fighting it, it could be considered daunting but not dangerous. Along the way, there were also the constant sneak attacks of various shadow demons, causing everyone to be exhausted from dealing with them. It could be said that every step they took was filled with killing intent, and every step they took was extremely dangerous. As they continued forward, they finally met the master of the shadow demon. It was a demonic person made of blood. Its ability to hide itself was even more horrifying than the shadow demons. Its attacks were even more strange and varied. The most important thing was that its body was a pile of liquid. Ordinary methods would not be able to kill it. Even if one exploded its head or chopped it into pieces, there was nothing to fear. Fortunately, Xiao Chen's lightning-attributed essence could restrain it. His essence contained the state of thunder. After Xiao Chen injured it, the electric light lingered for a long time, preventing it from healing. Yun Kursen's heavenly melody saber technique was even more horrifying. When the sound wave entered the blood demon's body, it could instantly infuse every drop of blood in the blood demon's body, blasting it into nothing. Lone peak fatal blow. Zhang Lai shouted explosively, and a chain of saber strikes formed a mountain, instantly killing a shadow demon. After that, he extracted the demon core from its body with a shwa sound. Senior Sister Yun, how much longer before we can get out? Zhang Lai asked as he lay down on a tree after he finished what he was doing. His breathing was somewhat hurried. Along the way, there were endless battles. Aside from the various demonic beasts, they also had to be on guard against the sneak attacks of the shadow demons and blood demons. Everyone was constantly on high alert. However, the path in the forest seemed endless. No matter how they walked, the scene in front of them was always the same, large patches of black trees. Even Zhang Lai, who comprehended saber intent and had a stronger mental state than regular cultivators, felt somewhat frustrated. Yun Kursen tossed an inferior-grade spirit stone to Muhang and Zhang Lai. She said, "It will not be long. We are walking in a straight line. We should be able to get out by dusk." Yun Kursen seemed to have an inexhaustible supply of inferior-grade spirit stones and medicinal pills. After every battle, she would give everyone medicinal pills for treating injuries and recovering essence. If Yun Kursen exhausted too much essence, she would just give everyone inferior-grade spirit stones. If it were not for Yun Kursen's resources, even if they wanted to fight, they would not be able to. Muhang sat down cross-legged and smiled faintly, just treat it as cultivation. After fighting continuously for a day, I feel that my strength has increased by at least 50%. I also made some breakthroughs in some martial techniques that I could not comprehend normally. The increase in my cultivation is even greater than cultivating in the back mountains for 3 months. Indeed, compared to bitter cultivation, one's cultivation would advance much faster when they went through life and death experiential training. However, there were pros and cons to both. Bitter cultivation was stable and did not endanger one's life. Experiential training could increase one's cultivation, but it was too dangerous. There were too many uncertainties. Overall, both were indispensable. Bitter cultivation and experiential training were not desirable. Only a reasonable arrangement of bitter cultivation and experience could allow one's cultivation to grow at the fastest speed. Pu Ci. Xiao Chen, who had gone out to scout, jumped down from a tree and said, "We can rest for a while. There are no demonic beasts in the surroundings. The closest group of demonic beasts is about 1,000 meters ahead. They are early rank 5 demonic wolves. If they were alone, they would be easy to deal with. Unfortunately, these demonic beasts live in packs. There are about 500 of them. We will have to fight a tough battle later." Yun Kursen muttered to herself, "Let's do it the same way. The 3 of us will be responsible for dealing with the demonic wolves. Yi Chen will hold the line and prevent the shadow demons and blood demons from sneak attacking us." After an hour, the group had already recovered their essence and started their journey. Sweeping mountain destroys clouds. Zhang Lai shouted, and a strong wind blew. A mysterious phenomenon appeared, and the continuous saber aura turned into a lone peak, charging at the pack of rank 5 demonic wolves on the ground. Horizontal saber stance, 7 stars transposition. Muhang was not willing to fall behind. A purple light burst out from his body and he turned into a saber. His figure flickered continuously in the pack of wolves. With each rise and fall, his palms slashed through the air, and a wolf head would be sent flying. Within the pack of wolves, the huge wolf king stared at the group with its scarlet eyes as it howled ferociously. It was like they were in a formation. Every time it howled, the formation of the pack of wolves would change. After a while, under the command of the wolf king, Zhang Lai and Muhang, who were advancing like a hot knife through butter, received an intense counterattack. As the pack of wolves advanced and retreated, they managed to block the attacks of the 2 of them. They retaliated without fear of death and even left some wounds on the 2 of them. Chi! Chi! There was a piercing sonic boom on the battlefield. A white figure moved in an arc in the air and landed in front of the Wolf King. The slender saber in Yunkurson's hand trembled slightly. The huge body of the Wolf King was immediately knocked back. The formation of the pack of wolves immediately turned chaotic. After Yunkurson delayed the Wolf King, the pressure on Zhang Lai and Mu Heng decreased. Shao Chen hugged the lunar shadow saber and closed his eyes. He spread his spiritual sense to every corner of the battlefield, especially the surroundings of Yunkurson and the other two. They were constantly on guard against the attacks of the demons. Compared to the demonic beasts, these cunning demons knew how to hide themselves. They were the greatest threat to the group. Shua. In the world of Shao Chen's spiritual sense, a figure that was different from the demonic wolves and humans appeared in Shao Chen's mind. A pool of blood quickly shot towards Yunkurson from the ground. Shao Chen suddenly opened his eyes and executed the lightning evasion. A bolt of lightning tore through the dark sky. Shao Chen drew his saber with a huang dang sound. The lunar shadow saber lit up with a light that was even more resplendent than the lightning. It was bright and dazzling. Pu Ci. A cold light flashed in the air and the saber stabbed into the pool of blood on the ground. It was so fast that the lightning in the sky did not even have time to disappear. A miserable shriek came from the ground. The pool of blood on the ground turned into a human figure. It grabbed the lunar shadow saber flickering with electricity with both hands as it roared ferociously. Despicable human. Sooner or later, I will eat up all your blood and marrow. I will let you experience the most painful torture in this world. Shao Chen smiled faintly and said softly, "Sorry, you no longer have this chance." Explode. The lunar shadow saber stabbed into the blood demon's chest suddenly burst out with a horrifying electric light. Pai Li Pa La. There were crackling sounds as the electric snakes danced around. The blood demon's body exploded into tiny blood droplets in the air before finally disappearing. Suddenly, 4 shadow demons flew over. They quickly launched themselves at Zhang Lai and Mu Heng, who were engaged in an intense battle. The timing of the shadow demons was very accurate. It happened to be when the two of them were surrounded by a pack of wolves and could not extricate themselves. A fierce flame started burning in Shao Chen's right eye. It condensed into a clump of purple lightning fire. The flame quickly elongated and turned into a sharp purple arrow. Pu Ci. The arrow was like a bolt of lightning tearing through the air, illuminating the dark forest. It moved faster than the speed of sound and silently pierced through the bodies of the 4 shadow demons. The shadow demons exploded and turned into a black rain of blood, covering the entire sky. In the palace on the cliff, the blood demon general on the throne could not help but be stunned when he heard the sudden mocking. Unexpectedly, someone managed to hide from his perception and sneak into the palace. Pu Ci. In the great hall, the 10 blood demons standing on either side of the throne all cried out miserably. Their bodies exploded and turned into a blood mist. Lu Chen, Lu Ryue, and the others slowly revealed themselves in the great hall. They released their auras and their gazes were like sharp blades as they stared at the blood demon general on the throne. This was the dream demon that once brought disaster to the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. When the blood demon general saw the 10 of them, the corner of his lips curled up. He revealed a faint smile on his pale face. "I was wondering how high your cultivation was to be able to hide from my perception. It turns out you only used an aura-concealing talisman." Chapter 252. Is there no one else in the Heavenly Saber Pavilion? Why did they send you all to die? Lu Chen said calmly, "You are just a projection. It is enough to kill you." The blood demon general's scarlet eyes revealed a cold light. He said indifferently, "Originally, I was a little worried about what kind of people the Heavenly Saber Pavilion would send. It looks like I was worrying for nothing. Coincidentally, the ceremony requires some nourishment. Since you all delivered yourselves to me, I will not stand on ceremony." Boom! Right after the blood demon general spoke, a red light soared into the sky from his body. A horrifying killing chi surged towards the crowd like a flood. His eyes were filled with a scene of purgatory. Countless aggrieved spirits cried out miserably. A horrifying illusion appeared before the crowd. In this strange space, it was hard to distinguish what was real from what was fake. Huang dang. Everyone drew their sabers at the same time. An orderly sound reverberated in the air. With a schwa sound, the illusion instantly vanished. In the forest, after Yunkursen killed the Wolf King, the remaining demonic wolves were defeated. Under the attacks of the crowd, they fled in all directions. Zhang Lai and Mu Heng started to clean up the battlefield, extracting the demonic cores of the demonic wolves. Xiao Qun continued to be on guard, preventing any more demons from launching sneak attacks. Boom! Just at this moment, a scarlet light soared into the sky under the bright red moon in the distant sky. A horrifying aura spread out from afar. Zhang Lai and Mu Heng, who were cleaning up the battlefield, felt a chill and could not help but tremble. Mu Heng stopped what he was doing and looked at the scarlet light under the full moon. He muttered, "What is this? What a horrifying aura. Who is it?" Actually, everyone had a guess in their hearts. However, they did not dare to confirm it. They could not help but look at Yunkursen. When Yunkursen saw that scarlet light, a grave expression appeared on her calm face. When she felt everyone's gaze, she turned around and said slowly, "Your mission is already complete. If you have a divine flame talisman, you may leave now. If you do not, I can give you one." When Zhang Lai and Mu Heng heard this, they were stunned. Doubt filled their faces. They did not understand what was going on. "Senior Sister Yun, didn't you say we were going to meet up with the other teams through the forest?" "Indeed, we are almost at our destination. Why are we not leaving?" Yunkursen's unexpected words caught the two of them off guard. They could not understand what was going on. The plan was to walk out of the forest, but why was the mission completed before they even got out? When Xiao Qun heard Yunkursen suddenly say that the mission was completed, he was somewhat stunned. However, when he looked at the top of the mountain, he saw the red light soaring into the sky and the aura filling the entire space. After a while, Xiao Qun understood the crux of the matter. He looked at the sky with a calm face and shook his head with a bitter smile. Xiao Qun slowly got up and said to Mu Heng and Zhang Lai, "Go out. After all, each of you has collected 10 demon cores. You have already completed half of the task. 100 medial grade spirit stones is guaranteed. There is also a large number of demonic cores. You have already gained quite a lot." After a pause, Xiao Qun continued, "There is an even more important harvest. After such an intense battle, Zhang Lai, after you go out and cultivate bitterly, your cultivation should be able to reach peak inferior grade martial saint. That should not be a problem." Xiao Qun looked at Mu Heng and said, "There is also Mu Heng. Although your cultivation realm will not increase by leaps and bounds, your strength will probably increase even more than Zhang Lai's." Zhang Lai thought for a long time. At this moment, he more or less understood the crux of the matter. He revealed a complicated expression and said, "Yi Chen, that is not what I meant." Gao Xiang and the others, Xiao Chen's calm gaze suddenly gave off a sharp light. He said, "Experiential training is filled with danger in the first place. Don't think about it anymore. Let's go." Mu Heng looked deeply at the calm Yunkursen and did not say anything. He took out the divine flame talisman from his bosom. After a while, his body slowly turned into a ball of fiery light and disappeared from this space. Zhang Lai was shocked by the sudden look in Xiao Chen's eyes. He did not say anything more and took out the divine flame talisman as well. Then, he turned into a ball of fiery light and slowly disappeared from this space. After the two of them left, the atmosphere between Xiao Chen and Yunkursen slowly turned strange. Neither of them spoke. The forest was extremely quiet. Rumble. Suddenly, the entire earth began to shake. No, it wasn't the entire earth that was shaking, it was the entire space that was shaking. Trees collapsed one after another. Countless demonic beasts ran around in panic. The entire forest instantly turned chaotic. However, the atmosphere between the two of them was still incredibly quiet. The surrounding chaos did not affect the two of them at all. After a long time, Yunkursen sighed gently and said, are you still not leaving? If you do not have a divine flame talisman, I can give you one. Xiaochen shook his head and said, there is no need. Can I ask you a few questions? Yun Kursen's calm face did not change at all. She nodded and said, I knew you would blame me. I also know what you want to ask. I can tell you the answer. That's right, from the very start, the Elders' Assembly did not intend for you people to complete the mission. The ones who completed the mission were Lu Chen's group. The main mission of our 10 teams was to attract the Blood Demon General's attention, so that he would send out all the blood demons from the palace. This would allow Lu Chen and the others to use the aura-concealing talisman to sneak into the palace. Then, they would be able to focus on fighting the Blood Demon General. Xiaochen said indifferently, I guessed that. You misunderstood me. I do not blame you. I just wanted to ask you, how confident are Lu Chen and the others in killing the Blood Demon General? Based on what Yun Kursen said, Xiaochen had already guessed most of it. To put it simply, the Elders' Assembly wanted to use them as cannon fodder, to attract the firepower and create an opportunity for Lu Chen and the others. Zhang Lai could not understand why the Elders' Assembly did not make it clear in advance. Instead, they sent the others to die for no reason. That was why he was dissatisfied when he found out the answer. However, Xiaochen did not dwell on this problem. It was a very simple logic. If the Elders' Assembly had told them in advance, not even half of them would have participated in the mission. Out of 100 people, less than half would participate in the mission. No one would be stupid enough to volunteer to be cannon fodder. Similarly, this matter could not be blamed on Yun Kursen. At the very least, she was not the one who initiated the mission. As a team leader, she had already done her duty. Every time there was a battle, Yun Kursen would charge to the front lines. When someone got injured, she would distribute spirit stones and medicinal pills to everyone. She did her best to ensure everyone's safety. That was why Xiaochen used his strong mental energy to calm Zhang Lai down when his emotions were fluctuating. The strong preyed on the weak. Without sufficient strength, one was just a chess piece in the eyes of those in power. If one was strong enough to become a core disciple, they would naturally give one a divine flame talisman to ensure one's safety. Xiaochen did not blame anyone, nor did he resent anyone. This matter only allowed him to see the nature of this world more clearly. Without sufficient strength, every step he took was filled with danger. So he had to become stronger, stronger, and stronger. Only then would he be able to grasp his own fate in his own hands. Right now, Xiaochen was only concerned about whether Lu Chen and the others could kill the Blood Demon General. If they could kill him easily, then there would be no need for him to worry about the mission that Lu Tianyu gave him. He could just leave this place. If there was not a high chance of success, he would still make a trip. At the very least, he had to use the heaven-splitting saber technique that Lu Tianyu had hidden in the lunar shadow saber before leaving. When Yun Kursen saw Xiaochen being so calm, she was somewhat surprised. She muttered to herself for a while before saying, there is a 60% chance of success. Among Lu Chen's group, there are 7 people who have grasped the blood demon body disintegration technique. They can burn their life force and instantly increase their combat prowess. These 7 people did not intend to leave this place alive in the first place. They are the death-sworn soldiers of the Divine Saber Camp. In a situation where there are no losses, they can increase their combat prowess by up to 10 times. When Xiaochen heard this, he was startled. Lu Ryue was among the 10. If Lu Ryue was among the 7, he could not just sit by and do nothing. Sorry, I have to go first. The silver warship flew out from Xiaochen's right eye. Xiaochen quickly leaped onto it. Before he left, he seemed to have thought of something. He said, actually, you don't have to blame yourself. You have already done very well. Right after he spoke, Xiaochen piloted the silver warship and sped through the air towards the palace at the top of the cliff. It was like lightning, disappearing in a flash. Yun Kursen watched as Xiaochen left. A faint smile appeared on her delicate face. She shook the roaming dragon saber in her hand and muttered to herself, interesting. What is so urgent that he is even abandoning his heaven-ranked spirit weapon? In the forest, Murong Chong looked at the red light soaring into the sky. He slowly stopped and thought for a long time. "Senior brother Murong, why did you stop?" one of the team members asked, feeling confused. Murong Chong did not reply. He turned around and walked over to a severely injured core disciple. Then, he slowly placed the divine flame talisman on his chest. After that, under the astonished gazes of the others, that person slowly turned into a clump of flames and disappeared from this space. After doing all this, Murong Chong took out another divine flame talisman. He said, "You all stay here. There is no need to advance any further. I only have one divine flame talisman left. I'll leave it to you to make your own arrangements." Murong Chong gently pushed off the ground. After he finished speaking, he soared into the sky. His body moved through the air, creating intense sonic booms. He quickly flew towards the palace in front. "Senior brother Murong, don't go." When the group of people saw Murong Chong leave behind a divine flame talisman and leave, they could not help but cry out in panic. For them to be able to travel so far with only 3 deaths, it could be said that it was all because of Murong Chong's ability. When Murong Chong left, everyone immediately panicked. The same scene happened in the other teams in the forest. When the core disciples who were leading the teams saw the red light soaring into the sky, they all stopped. However, what these people did was very different from what Murong Chong and Yunkursen did. They directly used their divine flame talismans and left this space, leaving behind a group of dumbfounded core disciples. A strong wind blew past Xiao Chen's ears. His hair fluttered in the wind and his clothes fluttered continuously. Chapter 253. Xiao Chen had an anxious expression on his face as he activated the flying formation on the warship with all his might. He rushed towards the palace without caring about his essence consumption. Xiao Chen consoled himself, elder sister Ryue should not use the blood demon body disintegration technique. Otherwise, Lu Tianyu would not have let her enter this subspace. After all, she was Lu Tianyu's daughter. No matter how much of a bastard Lu Tianyu was, he would not joke around with his own daughter. However, Xiao Chen thought about it. Perhaps that old man had guessed that I was worried about Lu Ryue. That old man might have purposely used this method to force me to stay in the subspace and kill the blood demon general according to his rules. Given that old fox's character, he might really be able to do that. Thinking of this, Xiao Chen could not help but increase the speed of the silver warship. Xiao Chen's speed was already very close to the speed of sound. The cold wind felt like knives when it blew on his face. This made Xiao Chen feel some pain. He had to use his essence to block it off. Bang! 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 Just at this moment, intense sonic booms came from behind Xiao Chen, exploding in the air. A figure quickly caught up and landed steadily on the stern of the ship. Xiao Chen's gaze turned cold. When he saw who it was, he said in surprise, "Murong Chong." Murong Chong held his saber in his left hand and met Xiao Chen's gaze. He said mockingly, "Why are you in such a rush to die?" When Xiao Chen heard this, his face slowly sank. He said in a cold voice, "I have no time to waste with you. This is my warship. Please get off." Murong Chong looked like he had heard a joke. He had an extremely amused expression as he said, "Please get off. What if I don't want to? Then I can only chase you off." Murong Chong, who was at the stern, smiled coldly. "I want to see how capable you are to dare to make a move against me, your former senior brother." Roaming Dragon's 9 transformations, Clear Wind Chop. Xiao Chen did not reply. He shouted and executed the blue dragon cloud soaring art and clear wind chop at the same time. Suddenly, 9 cool winds blew in the sky. Xiao Chen's figure split into 9. Hu Qi. Amid the cool breeze, the snow-white lunar shadow saber in Xiao Chen's hand vanished. He withdrew all his killing qi and combined it with the 9 images. It was hard to distinguish the real from the fake. Just as the saber light was about to strike Murong Chong, something strange happened. A cool breeze blew and Murong Chong's body suddenly disappeared from Xiao Chen's sight. Xiao Chen remained calm. His spiritual sense turned into rings of light and spread out, scanning the area within 200 meters of him. In the haze, a black dot appeared on the lower right side of Xiao Chen, 100 meters away, and was captured by Xiao Chen's spiritual awareness. Found it, merge. The 9 phantoms in the sky overlapped, and Xiao Chen's speed doubled. The friction in the air created a violent sonic boom. The snow-white lunar shadow saber lit up with a resplendent purple electric light, illuminating the scarlet sky. The saber tore through the air and hacked at the black dot at lightning speed. Hoo! When the saber struck the air, it gave off a thunderous sound. However, aside from the cool breeze, there was no sign of Murong Chong. Xiao Chen frowned and felt suspicious in his heart. What's going on? Even if he hid himself in the cool breeze, he did not really turn into the air. If I can find the right position, I can still attack. Hoo! Hoo! A cool breeze blew behind Xiao Chen. Murong Chang's unhurried voice could be heard. Little junior brother, don't look for the wrong place. I am here. The voice moved with the cool breeze and circled around Xiao Chen. After that, it reverberated in the surroundings. It made it impossible to determine where the person who spoke was. Xiao Chen revealed a cautious expression. He slowly closed his eyes and sheathed the snow-white lunar shadow saber. Murong Chong had already practiced the clear wind chop to great perfection. He had also comprehended the state of wind of the clear wind chop to consummation. The two complemented each other. In a contest of the clear wind chop, Xiao Chen was indeed inferior to him. If Xiao Chen wanted to find Murong Chong, it would be difficult. Before Murong Chong attacked, he would not be able to find an opening. Xiao Chen could only wait for the instant Murong Chong attacked. Only then would he have a chance of finding his position. At that time, he would use the strength of his physical body to make an opening appear. After that, he would use the rushing thunder saber technique to launch an unending chain of attacks and completely defeat him. As long as Murong Chong retreated, he would not be able to dodge the rushing thunder saber technique. A weak cool breeze blew on Xiao Chen's face. The gentle energy caused his nervous expression to relax. It's coming. Xiao Chen suddenly opened his eyes. A bright light flashed in his eyes. They were as sharp as a saber. Xiao Chen shouted, and all the bones in his body crackled. Ferocious tiger leaving the mountains, 100 beasts wave. A force of 6,000 kilograms struck the cool breeze, giving off a series of explosive sounds. Even the invisible wind exploded from this punch. Murong Chong, who was hidden in the cool breeze, had a shocked expression on his face. He was mildly astonished. He decisively revealed himself and gave up on attacking. Then, he removed his hand from the saber hilt. He sent out a palm strike. The palm wind was like thunder, causing the air to tremble. Bang! The fist and palm collided and gave off a loud sound. It was like a sudden clap of thunder, causing everyone's eardrums to tremble and reverberate endlessly. Surging shockwaves spread out in all directions like the tide. The two of them retreated 5 steps in the air at the same time. One stood at the bow and the other at the stern. Unexpectedly, the two of them were evenly matched in this punch and palm strike. The qi and blood in Xiao Chen's body surged, his internal organs were shaken. Hot blood rushed to his head, but Xiao Chen did not suppress it. He opened his mouth and vomited. Xiao Chen had not expected such a result. His physical body had already reached a horrifying level. His full-powered strike was 6,000 kilograms of force. With such a sudden attack, he could kill a superior-grade martial saint. However, not only was Murong Chong fine, he even managed to fight to a draw. The silver warship continued to fly in the sky under the bright red full moon. A strong wind blew past the two of them. Their long black hair and clothes fluttered in the air, making loud sounds. Blood leaked out of the corner of Murong Chong's mouth. His complexion was somewhat pale. He had used essence to execute this palm strike. The quality of his physical body was much weaker than Xiao Chen's. The internal injuries he suffered were even more severe than Xiao Chen's. Murong Chong slowly wiped off the blood on the corner of his mouth. He revealed a faint smile on his stern face. You are able to force me to withdraw my saber. You already possess the qualifications to challenge me. However, if this is all you have, it is far from enough to chase me back. Hey! Just as Murong Chong was about to make another move, an azure leaf appeared in the air above the silver warship at some point in time. The leaf drifted in the wind. It looked weak and unremarkable, but strangely, it maintained an incredible speed in the wind. It was neither fast nor slow, giving off a soothing feeling. However, in an instant, it moved more than 100 meters. Its speed was actually slightly faster than Xiao Chen's silver warship. Xiao Chen's gaze focused on the leaf. He felt somewhat suspicious. Who is this? To think that he released his life martial spirit here. Based on the strangeness of this martial spirit, it might be an inherited martial spirit. The azure leaf slowly landed between the two of them. The azure leaf glowed with a white light. Yun Kursen, dressed in white and holding the roaming dragon saber, appeared before the two of them with a calm expression. The two of you, are you still in the mood for a showdown at this moment? Yun Kursen's delicate face did not reveal any expression as she spoke indifferently. It is actually Yun Kursen. Xiao Chen was somewhat surprised. However, when he thought about it, Yun Kursen was a peak inferior grade martial spirit, yet she was terrifyingly strong. If it was an inherited martial spirit, then it could be explained. Moreover, along the way, only someone from an inherited clan would not care about these inferior grade spirit stones. Xiao Chen said indifferently, "This is my warship. I do not welcome people looking for trouble." Murong Chong ignored him and placed his saber at the side. Then, he sat at the stern and closed his eyes to rest. Xiao Chen was anxious about Lu Ryue's matter. He did not want to waste any more time with Murong Chong. He turned around and said, "Senior Sister Yun, why are you here as well?" Yun Kursen looked at the palace in the distance, which was glowing with a red light and filled with killing qi. She said, "I have the same goal as you." Xiao Chen found it funny. He said indifferently, "You don't even know what my goal is. How can you say it's the same as me?" Yun Kursen glanced at Murong Chong before looking at Xiao Chen. She said, "Actually, the three of us have the same goal." Xiao Chen shook his head slightly and no longer bothered with this question. He controlled the silver warship at full speed and flew at lightning speed towards the palace. Bang! 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 Inside the palace, the 7 divine saber camp bladesmen, whose combat prowess had increased after the blood demon body disintegration, were filled with killing qi. Boundless scarlet saber qi flew around the palace. Every strand of saber qi was more than 100 meters long. They were incomparably horrifying and contained horrifying energy. When the saber qi struck the blood demon general's body, it forced him to retreat. Wounds appeared all over his body. After the 7 of them underwent the blood demon body disintegration, their combat prowess surpassed that of a regular medial grade martial king. Furthermore, with the cooperation of Lu Chen and the other 2, they caught the blood demon general off guard. After that, they suppressed the blood demon general, not giving him a chance to counterattack. Angry Azure River. The 7 of them shouted and a scarlet light surged around their bodies. 7 strands of red saber qi merged into one in the air and turned into a vast scarlet river, surging towards the blood demon general. The blood demon general revealed a grave expression on his pale face. He pushed his palms in the air and a spherical scarlet ball appeared, encasing him within it. Seeing the cool breeze but not the saber. A cool breeze blew in the great hall. Lu Ryue's nimble body flew quickly in the cool breeze. There was a flash of saber light and a crack immediately appeared in the scarlet ball that the blood demon general condensed. Boom! The surging scarlet river entered the crack with a schwa sound. Miserable cries came from the scarlet ball of light. In the next instant, the scarlet ball of light exploded. The blood demon general's body turned into countless tiny blood droplets and disappeared into the air. Is it over? Lu Chen said with a bewildered expression as he watched the blood demon general disappear. The others did not let their guard down. It was not easy for them to get to this point. If they were careless, all their efforts would go to waste. None of them could afford to lose. After waiting for a long time, there was still no movement in the majestic palace. The great hall was silent, only the continuous breathing of the crowd could be heard. Chapter 254. Lu Chen muttered to himself for a while before saying, he should be dead already. After all, it is just a projection. Go and kill the remaining blood demons, and this space will disappear. When the others heard this, they nodded. The blood demon general was indeed horrifying. However, he was just a projection in this space. He did not even have a tenth of his strength. Just as everyone heaved a sigh of relief, countless blood droplets suddenly appeared in the hall. The blood droplets quickly gathered at a certain point in the air. In the blink of an eye, all the blood droplets gathered together. The blood demon general's figure appeared behind a bladesman who had executed the blood demon self-disintegration technique. Pu Ci. There was a horrifying miserable shriek. That bladesman's body emitted a hua la la sound. The blood demon general sucked all the blood in his body. Soon, he turned into a sheet of human skin. High up in the sky, the scarlet full moon shone down a beam of red light. The blood demon general's weakened body looked solid once again. All this happened in the time it took for a spark to fly. Everyone had no time to react, they were all astonished. The blood demon general casually tossed away the human skin in his hand. His pale lips were covered in blood. He revealed a sinister smile. Foolish humans, do you think I will die so easily? As the silver warship got closer and closer to the palace on the edge of the cliff, the terrifying murderous aura brought more and more pressure to the crowd. Yun Kursen said indifferently, even if it is just a projection, this blood demon general is probably as strong as a peak medial grade martial king. Murong Chong, who was at the stern, suddenly opened his eyes. He stood up and said, I'm afraid it is not just that. Coupled with his identity as a demon, his true combat prowess is probably that of a superior grade martial king. In the great Qin nation, a person with the cultivation of a martial saint could be considered as a minor expert. They could become an overlord in a small place like Mo City, receiving invitations and hospitality from various powers. After martial saint, every increase in cultivation realm would result in a qualitative increase in strength. Furthermore, it was incomparably difficult. It was already pretty good for a cultivator to become a martial saint before the age of 30. Furthermore, to become a true expert in the great Qin nation, one had to be a martial king. After one became a martial king, one would be the target of all the clans in the great Qin nation. To a large extent, a clan's true strength was reflected in the number and quality of martial kings that the clan possessed. Quantity naturally referred to the number of people, while quality referred to the martial king realm. Once a cultivator reached the martial king realm, even a small advantage would immediately determine the victor, not to mention the difference in cultivation realm. That was because it was simply too difficult to increase one's strength at this level. Everyone clearly knew that the difference between peak medial grade martial saint and superior grade martial saint was like the difference between heaven and earth. It would not be an exaggeration to say that the difference in combat prowess was tenfold. When Xiao Chen heard Murong Chang's words, his face remained calm. However, he was extremely anxious in his heart. He could only pray that nothing happened to Lu Riyue. Xiao Chen finally understood why Lu Tianyu left such a huge force in the lunar shadow saber. It was because he had expected that the younger generation of the heavenly saber pavilion would not be a match for the blood demon general. Murong Chang's expression suddenly changed. He felt it was strange as he said, "What's going on?" That blood demon general's aura suddenly disappeared. Xiao Chen and Yun Kursen also felt it at the same time. That overwhelming aura actually disappeared in an instant. Furthermore, they could not feel it at all. Yun Kursen guessed suspiciously, could it be that the blood demon general was already killed? When a person's aura disappeared, aside from hiding it on purpose, there was only one explanation: death. Given the blood demon general's style, there was no way he would hide it on purpose. The only explanation left was death. Who? A beam of red light descended from the full moon. Everyone felt the Blood Demon General's horrifying aura once again. Enchanting frowned and said, "Why does this feel like he revived from the dead? What exactly happened in that palace?" The silhouette of the palace had already appeared in everyone's vision. It did not look very far away, but they would need some time to reach it. Shao Chen remained silent as he stared at the scarlet full moon above him. He had felt that there was something wrong with this scarlet moon a long time ago. The scarlet light that descended from the scarlet moon confirmed Shao Chen's guess. That scarlet light contained a surging life force. Enchanting said indifferently, "This moon is a little strange. I am sure that the Blood Demon General was indeed killed to a certain extent. However, the scarlet light of this moon revived him. Eternal life under the full moon?" Shao Chen frowned and thought doubtfully. Shao Chen did not say anything more. The most important thing now was to fly to the palace. That was the most important thing. He took out an inferior grade spirit stone. After Shao Chen absorbed all the energy in the spirit stone, the chi whirlpool in his dantian started to spin rapidly. He used his essence without caring about the expenditure. The speed of the silver warship increased explosively again. After 10 minutes, the three of them finally arrived above the palace. Rumble. The intense sounds of fighting passed through the obstruction of the palace and resounded in everyone's ears. Hu Chi. Enchanting leaped into the air and jumped off the stern of the warship. He quickly descended to the top of the palace. He sent out a palm strike and a large hole immediately appeared in the roof of the palace. Enchanting did not hesitate to jump in. Shao Chen did not hesitate either. He recalled the silver warship into his right eye and jumped into the hole that Enchanting created with Enchanting. Bang! While the two of them were still in the air, they saw Enchanting turn into a cool breeze and blow towards the Blood Demon General silently. With a schwa saber strike, he left a horrifying wound on the Blood Demon General's body. Anger breaks the Azure River. The horrifying scarlet saber chi merged with the Tao in the Great Hall once again and formed a scarlet river. It carried a boundless aura as it surged towards the Blood Demon General. Anger breaks the Azure River was originally a peak Earth-ranked martial technique. With so many people working together, the might of this move was already at the level of an inferior grade heaven-ranked martial technique. Pu Ci. Pu Ci. An intense explosion resounded in the Great Hall. The entire Great Hall started to shake. With a loud bang, this move killed the Blood Demon General once again. He turned into countless blood droplets and disappeared from the Great Hall. When Lu Riyue saw Shao Chen, she quickly leaped over. She revealed an anxious expression on her pretty face as she said quickly, "Yi Chen, why are you here? Didn't I give you the Divine Flame Talisman?" Shao Chen said in a soft voice, "There is no need to be anxious. Your father told me to come. He already expected that you are not a match for the Blood Demon General. He sealed a martial technique in the Lunar Shadow Saber. It should be able to kill him." The Blood Demon General was killed by the crowd once again. However, this time, no one showed any signs of relaxation on their faces. Instead, they were incomparably anxious. "Senior Brother Lu, the Blood Demon Body Disintegration Technique's duration is almost up. Everyone's strength has already been exhausted. If we use Anger Breaks the Azure River again, its might will decrease significantly. If the Blood Demon General revives again, the situation will not be good." A Divine Saber Camp Bladesman said anxiously to Lu Chen. Lu Chen's expression turned sullen. He already knew what the other party said. However, the situation this time was completely out of his expectations. Originally, by relying on the tenfold increase in combat prowess of the Blood Demon Body Disintegration Technique, as well as the joint attack, Anger Breaks the Azure River, when all the other Blood Demons had left the palace, it should not be too difficult to kill the Blood Demon General's projection. It should not be too difficult to kill the Blood Demon General's projection. However, Shao Chen did not expect it to reach such a stage where the Blood Demon General could not be killed. Enchanting glanced at Shao Chen, who was standing with Lu Riyue. A barely detectable rage flashed in his eyes. He quickly walked over to Lu Chen's side and said, his original body should be that scarlet moon in the sky. There is no such thing as an unlimited revival in this world. If we continue killing him, he will eventually collapse. Lu Chen smiled bitterly and pointed to the 3 human skins on the ground. He said, I'm afraid that before he collapses, we will not be able to hold on. Let's kill him one more time. If he still does not die, we can only choose to retreat. Pu Ci. Pu Ci. A dense number of scarlet pearls appeared in the hall. They quickly gathered at a certain point. After a while, the Blood Demon General's figure formed again. However, this time, everyone was more careful. No one was caught in a sneak attack. A scarlet light descended from the scarlet moon again. The Blood Demon General's originally weak figure instantly became stronger under the illumination of the scarlet light. The Blood Demon General grinned and revealed a cruel smile on his pale face. He looked at Xiao Chen and the other 2 and said, another 3 people coming to die? Kill. The Blood Demon self-disintegration technique could only last for a limited time. Lu Chen did not want to waste time. The moment the Blood Demon General's figure appeared, he led the others to charge over. Lu Riyue, who was beside Xiao Chen, told them to be careful. Then, she charged into the battlefield and fought with the Blood Demon General. After a few big battles, the 7 people in the battlefield were very well coordinated with each other. It was not good for Xiao Chen and the other 2 to interfere. Otherwise, they would disrupt their rhythm. They could only wait and see, waiting for an opportunity. Blood Demon Death Spear. The Blood Demon General shouted and a scarlet ball condensed in his hand. The scarlet ball quickly elongated and turned into a spear. It left a scarlet mark in the air as it flew towards the crowd. The speed of the spear was very fast. In the blink of an eye, it arrived before Lu Chen. A bright light flashed in Lu Chen's eyes. He quickly drew a circle in the air with his saber. A whirlwind appeared in front of Lu Chen. Pu Ci. When the horrifying scarlet spear brushed past it, it immediately lost its aim and was sent flying to the side. Bang! The scarlet spear crashed into a huge stone pillar in the hall. There was a loud explosion and a large chunk of the stone pillar immediately corroded. In the next moment, there was a loud rumble. The top half of the stone pillar that was suspended in the air fell towards the ground. The stone pillar, which was tens of meters tall, fell down. Everyone quickly dodged. Bang! The stone pillar fell and kicked up a large cloud of dust. The hall shook continuously under the intense bombardment. Pu Ci. The Blood Demon General took advantage of the opportunity when everyone dodged. He laughed strangely and turned into a scarlet liquid, charging at a bladesman who executed the Blood Demon's self-disintegration technique. That bladesman had just stabilized himself. By the time he felt the danger behind him, it was already too late. Chapter 255. There was a crunching sound as the Blood Demon General pierced through this person's body. There was a zzz sound as that person cried out miserably. After a while, the Blood Demon General sucked the dust out of him, leaving behind a piece of human skin. The Blood Demon General turned back into his human form and laughed. Human blood is always so wonderful, leaving one with an endless aftertaste. Lu Chen's expression turned cold. Of the Divine Saber Camp's bladesmen who executed the Blood Demon body disintegration, 3 had already died. The remaining 4 had already executed the Angry Azure River. Senior Sister Riyue, we cannot waste any more time. Quickly create an opportunity to execute the Angry Azure River, Lu Chen shouted as he knocked the Blood Demon General back with his saber. The Blood Demon General also knew how powerful the Angry Azure River was. He executed the Blood Demon Death Spear continuously, not giving the others a chance to execute it. The spear, which contained a corrosive power, flew rapidly towards the crowd. The crowd had already experienced the might of the Blood Demon Death Spear earlier. They did not dare to clash head-on with it, they all leaped and dodged. Bang! 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 The remaining 11 stone pillars in the Great Hall were all struck by the Blood Demon Death Spear. One by one, the stone pillars collapsed. Dust was kicked up, the scene was extremely chaotic. In the midst of the chaotic battle, the Blood Demon General turned into a beam of red light and attacked the crowd continuously. Lu Chen and the others had to guard against the stone pillars falling from the sky as well as the Blood Demon General's sneak attacks. They did not have a chance to attack the Blood Demon General, they were too busy dealing with him. Murong Chong raised his head and looked at the ceiling of the palace. His expression changed slightly. Not good, this palace is going to collapse. The palace, which had lost the support of the 12 stone pillars, was shaking non-stop. Gravel kept falling from the ceiling. Just as Murong Chong finished speaking, there was a loud sound and the entire dome collapsed. Countless boulders fell with a crashing sound. Lu Chen said loudly, "Let's get out of here first." Boom! The remaining people condensed a boundless saber light on their sabers and made their moves, shattering the rocks falling from above. Xiao Chen's expression did not change. His figure flashed in the air and he circulated the dragon and tiger body sculpting art. He punched with 5,000 kilograms of force, shattering the huge rocks into countless fragments. Yun Kursen turned into a fallen leaf drifting in the wind amidst the dust, swaying as she floated away. When all the dust had settled, the huge and majestic palace had been completely reduced to ruins. Everyone was covered in dust, looking somewhat miserable. Amidst the rubble, a red light exploded. Dust flew everywhere, and the Blood Demon General's figure appeared under the illumination of the full moon. The Blood Demon General's pale face revealed an angry expression. He said coldly, "Ignorant juniors, how dare you destroy my palace? Today, none of you will leave this place alive." Who? A cool breeze blew, and Lu Ryue's figure suddenly disappeared into the cool breeze. In the next moment, a wound appeared on the Blood Demon General's chest, and blood spurted out. Lu Ryue's figure flashed by the Blood Demon General. The Blood Demon General cried out in pain and tried to grab her. However, he did not manage to grab anything. Instead, another wound appeared on his back. Lu Chen quickly said, "This is a good opportunity. Prepare your combined martial technique." A cool breeze blew continuously in front of the Blood Demon General. Lu Ryue's figure appeared and disappeared around him, appearing and disappearing unpredictably. She left behind many wounds. The Blood Demon General was anxious. His figure flickered quickly, turning into a ball of red light that moved erratically. However, the cool breeze did not give up. No matter where the Blood Demon General hid, no matter what form he took, there would always be a saber light that left a wound on his body. Damn it! The Blood Demon General roared angrily and pressed his palms together. His chi and blood exploded out, and a surging scarlet light spread out from his body. Under the illumination of the scarlet light, Lu Ryue, who was hidden in the cool breeze, immediately revealed a red figure. The Blood Demon General revealed a sinister smile. "I found you. Die." Blood Demon Death Fist. Lightning Evasion. An electric light flashed, and Xiao Chen appeared in front of Lu Ryue. The bones in his body gave off crackling sounds. His left hand turned into a dragon, and his right hand turned into a tiger. The dragon and tiger merged into Xiao Chen's body, and the images of a dragon and a tiger intertwined with each other. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Bang! The Blood Demon General's horrifying punch landed on Xiao Chen's arms. The horrifying energy gave off a loud sound, and cracks appeared on the ground under Xiao Chen's feet. Above the crack, a strong gust of air gushed out. The boulders on the ground trembled violently. The huge rocks on the ground flew up and spun around Xiao Chen. However, Xiao Chen did not move at all. The dragon and tiger body sculpting art circulated continuously in his body, quickly accumulating energy. At this moment, the dragon did not roar, and the tiger did not roar. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, I'll let you be arrogant first. In the next moment, Xiao Chen roared angrily and leaned back slightly. He punched ferociously, and the dragon roared and tiger roared continuously. The sound was like thunder. The clouds churned in the scarlet sky, and countless bolts of lightning appeared. The image of a dragon and tiger circling behind Xiao Chen poured into Xiao Chen's body. The aura accumulated by the crouching tiger hidden dragon was unleashed with this punch. This was the third move of the great dragon tiger fist. Borrowing the aura of the crouching tiger hidden dragon, accumulating supreme energy, dragon roar and tiger roar. Clearly, the blood demon general did not expect Shao Chen to be able to withstand his blood demon death fist head-on. All the more, he did not expect Shao Chen to be able to counterattack so quickly after being struck by the blood demon death fist. The horrifying punch had already reached 5,000 kilograms of force. It landed on the blood demon general's chest. When Shao Chen punched, a scarlet light shot out. A head-sized hole appeared in the blood demon general's chest. Electricity flickered at the edges of the hole, preventing the wound from healing. Shao Chen endured the surging qi and blood in his body. He pushed off the ground and turned into a purple shadow, retreating 100 meters. Lu Ruer rushed over and asked worriedly, "Yi Chen, are you all right?" In terms of might, the blood demon death fist was no weaker than the blood demon death spear. Since Shao Chen received this punch head-on, it was definitely not as easy as it looked. Shao Chen swallowed a blood-replenishing pill and said, "I suffered some internal injuries, but I can still hold on. Don't worry about it for now." Angry Azure River. The surging Scarlet River blocked the blood demon general, who wanted to chase after Shao Chen. The river surged and waves surged. It contained boundless energy. Damn it. The blood demon general stopped in his tracks. He raised his hands, and a surging scarlet sphere covered his body. Lu Chen's expression was calm as he tossed out the saber in his hand. The saber turned into an eagle in the air, flying towards the scarlet ball. He shouted angrily, "Open for me." Dang! The eagle pecked ferociously at the scarlet ball, and a saber light flashed. A small crack appeared on the scarlet ball. However, Lu Chen did not have time to rejoice. The surging blood immediately churned and filled up the slits in an instant. In the next moment, the surging scarlet river crashed into the scarlet ball. The scarlet ball did not last long before it quickly crumbled under the relentless attacks of the scarlet river. Although the blood demon general's defense crumbled, the might of the scarlet river decreased significantly. When the scarlet river struck the blood demon general's body, it gave off an intense explosion. Blood rained down and a scarlet light flashed. After the light scattered, the blood demon general was not killed like the previous 2 times. The pool of blood on the ground surged continuously, trying to reform a new body. Peerless lunar shadow. Murong Chong decisively made his move. He drew his saber and 2 crescent moons intersected on the tip of his saber. A figure flashed in the air and the 2 crescent moons spun around. Finally, they formed a scarlet moon behind Murong Chong. Strangely, 2 scarlet moons appeared in the sky. Under the full moon, a sharp scarlet light flashed on Murong Chong's saber. The tip of the saber drew an arc in the air and a scarlet crescent moon formed. Then, it hacked at the blood demon general on the ground. Eagles gather. Lu Chen stretched out his hand and the saber on the ground returned to his hand. Then, he made his move at the same time. Countless eagles made of energy flew out behind Lu Chen, covering the sky and covering the sun. Shao Chen swung his saber and all the eagles in the sky quickly merged together, forming a golden eagle that gave off a glazed light. The eagle spread its wings and let out a drawn-out cry. It tore through the air and left behind a shockwave as it charged at the pool of blood on the ground. Bang! Bang! The eagle and the crescent moon struck the pool of blood at the same time. 2 explosions rang out. A huge pit appeared on the ground. Countless cracks extended out from the edges of the pit. The blood demon general's aura vanished from everyone's perception once again. Lu Chen sheathed his saber. He looked at the bladesmen beside him, who had turned into withered corpses due to the blood demon body disintegration technique's duration running out. His face turned frosty. Shwa. Lu Chen took out a divine flame talisman and tossed it over to Lu Rue. Then, he took out a divine flame talisman for himself, intending to leave this place. Lu Rue stretched out her hand and caught it. She said, "Lu Chen, the blood demon general is definitely not dead yet." Lu Chen said indifferently, I know. However, we no longer have any trump cards. First Elder Jiang Qi already informed us 3 days ago. This is the only thing the royal clan's Imperial Dragon Legion can do. After Lu Chen spoke, he ignited the divine flame talisman. He turned into a ball of fire and slowly disappeared from everyone's sight. Lingyan Mountain Range, Heaven Viewing Platform, Heavenly Saber Pavilion. The people of the Elders' Assembly were anxiously waiting for the results. Who? A clump of fire appeared before everyone. When the fire finished burning, Lu Chen's frosty expression appeared. When the Elders' Assembly saw Lu Chen's expression, their hearts sank. A shadow flashed in their hearts. The second elder held on to a hopeful attitude as he asked, Lu Chen, how did the mission go? Lu Chen shook his head and said, we failed. The Blood Demon General should be severely injured. The time it takes for the seal to break will be delayed. Failed? Someone at the side was in disbelief. He said, how can it be? Although the Blood Demon General is extremely horrifying, reaching medial grade martial sage, he is just a projection in that subspace. His strength should have fallen to Martial King. Furthermore, there are the other disciples to help you lure away the remaining blood demons in the palace. With the tenfold increase in combat prowess from burning the blood demon body disintegration technique in the Angry Azure River, which is comparable to an inferior grade heaven-ranked martial technique, there should not be any problems. Lu Chen explained, it is not that simple. There is a strange scarlet moon hanging high in that space. Every time we kill the blood demon general, the scarlet moon will revive him. By the third time, the disciple executing the blood demon body disintegration technique had already burned all his life force. I had no choice but to retreat. Chapter 256. When everyone heard this, they looked at each other. They had not expected the blood demon general to be so difficult to deal with. They also could not understand the Scarlet Moon. Through the reincarnation well, the Elders' Assembly knew that there was a Scarlet Moon in that space. However, they did not pay much attention to it. They did not expect to lose here. The second elder muttered, that Scarlet Moon should be the energy core of the entire subspace. The Blood Demon General is probably preparing to use it to break the seal. Now that the Scarlet Moon has been used up so many times, the time needed to break the seal will be delayed by at least half a month. The third elder, who was at the side, added, in half a month, the core strength of the Imperial Dragon Legion should be able to rush over. At that time, we should be able to deal with this crisis with the strength of our Heavenly Saber Pavilion. The Imperial Dragon Legion was the strongest legion of the Great Qin Nation's royal court. There were no more than 10,000 of them. They were led by Nangong Lai, the head of the 10 martial monarchs. The weakest in the legion was a peak superior grade martial saint. Together with the 10 ancient warships and the 2,000-odd peak martial kings, even if they met a regular martial sage, they would be able to kill them easily. Furthermore, they had been in the north for a long time, fighting against the barbarian race, which was ruled by the deep abyss demonic world. Their combat prowess was maintained at its peak. The Imperial Dragon Legion was a legion of the Great Qin Nation's peak experts. It could be said to be the foundation of the Great Qin Nation. The first elder, Jiang Qi, shook his head and smiled bitterly. This group of people has a shocking appetite. They want 1/10 of the Spirit Stone income from the Heavenly Saber Pavilion's Spirit Vein mine before they are willing to help. Lu Chen's expression changed. He said in astonishment, why are they acting like bandits? If they allow the Heavenly Saber Pavilion to open, half of the Shiha province will be affected. Are they not afraid? The second elder, who was at the side, said, at first, they asked for 20%. Because of this, they reduced it to 10%. Furthermore, they can wait until the Heavenly Saber Pavilion is destroyed before making their move. Jiang Qi muttered, the weak do not have the qualifications to negotiate. The people of the royal court can't wait for the Heavenly Saber Pavilion to be destroyed. If they were not afraid of dying indiscriminately, they would not even agree to help. At this moment, the silhouette of a golden warship appeared in everyone's vision. The warship stopped outside the Heavenly Saber Pavilion's barrier, not advancing any further. Jiang Qi looked up and saw a black banner fluttering in the wind at the bow of the ship. The word Ing was written on the banner. Take my token and open the barrier. Let it fly in, Jiang Qi said as he handed the token to an elder behind him. The elder nodded. He pushed off the ground and leaped into the air, silently flying into the distance. This was the strength of a martial king. They could truly fly in the air without creating any sonic booms. A moment later, the golden warship flew rapidly in their direction. When the golden warship arrived above everyone's heads, everyone could clearly feel how huge the warship was. It covered the sky and cast a huge shadow. It was like a moving fortress. Who? A petite golden figure jumped down from the bow of the ship. She was wearing a golden battle armor that glowed with a golden luster under the sun. The sunlight cast a faint golden glow on the girl's face. Coupled with her aura, she looked like a goddess of war, valiant and formidable looking. Everyone present guessed the identity of this girl. They all revealed astonished expressions. They had not expected this person to come. Aside from the great Qin nation's Princess Yu, there was no one else from the royal clan that could astonish the elders' assembly. King Chang. Yu landed firmly on the ground. When the battle armor she wore touched the ground, it gave off a melodious metallic sound. Amidst this sweet-sounding voice, a murderous aura instantly spread out. This was not the owner's intention. Instead, that aura had already merged with the owner of the voice. There was no need for it to be intentional, everyone could feel it. Greetings to Princess Yu. Although the elders of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion were very strong, they still had to put on a show before the most prestigious princess of the royal clan. Yu revealed a faint smile on her beautiful face. Seniors, there is no need to be so polite. Jiang Qi was somewhat confused as he asked, it is not the appointed time yet. Why are the Imperial Dragon Legion here so early? Yu smiled and said, I have some personal matters to attend to. That's why I borrowed the warship to rush over. This will not affect your agreement with the Imperial Dragon Legion. Of course, if there is a need, the people on the warship can enter combat mode at any time. Princess Yu had personal matters to attend to at the Heavenly Saber Pavilion? Jiang Qi and the elders exchanged glances. They did not understand. They could not figure out when the Heavenly Saber Pavilion had a relationship with Princess Yu. However, Jiang Qi was a wily old fox after all. He did not ask about personal matters. He said, never mind. Since you are here, then make your preparations. Our people failed. It looks like the Imperial Dragon Legion will have to make a move this time. Yu's expression changed slightly. She smiled faintly and said, that's good as well. We can deal with these two matters at the same time. Just at this moment, there was a formless fluctuation in the air. Aside from Jiang Qi, no one else felt it. That fluctuation was indeed heading towards Jiang Qi. Jiang Qi's expression changed, and he suddenly closed his eyes. It seemed like he was in deep thought, or like he was communicating with someone silently. When Yu saw the situation, she stopped preparing to summon the group off the warship. She unintentionally glanced in the direction of Qingyun Peak. After a while, Jiang Qi opened his eyes. There was an additional smile on his face than before. He said, Your Highness, there is a change in the situation. How about we tour the Heavenly Saber Pavilion first and enjoy the scenery of the Lingyun mountain range? All the elders looked at each other. They did not know what was going on. Why did Jiang Qi suddenly change his mind? Yu was slightly stunned as well. She said, as you wish. That's good. Lu Chen, I will leave Her Highness to you. Jiang Qi smiled gently, he was clearly in a good mood. Above the ruins of the palace on the cliff in the subspace, Shao Chen, Yun Kursen, Murong Chong, and Lu Riyue each stood in a corner. They had no intention of leaving. Lu Riyue looked at the divine flame talisman in her hand. Then, she tossed it at Murong Chong. Puchi. A saber light flashed, and Murong Chong chopped the divine flame talisman in half. Lu Riyue was so angry that she could not speak. She said, You, Murong Chong sheathed his saber. His stern face was expressionless as he said indifferently, "Is this the first day you met me? I never leave a way out for myself." Lu Riyue calmed herself down and her expression returned to normal. She asked Xiao Chen, "Are you not leaving as well?" Xiao Chen replied, "I promised your father that the blood demon general must be killed." Yun Kursen, who had been silent all this while, suddenly said, "Did you all notice that every time the blood demon general revives, it takes much longer than before?" Hearing this, everyone's mind lit up. It seemed to be true. It was the first time they had killed a blood demon general. The blood demon general only took 5 minutes to revive. The second time, it took 10 minutes to successfully revive. The third time, which was now. 20 minutes had passed, and the blood demon general had not revived. If it were not for the previous 2 experiences, everyone would have left long ago, thinking that the blood demon general had already been killed. Murong Chong said, "I already said it long ago. It is impossible for the blood demon general to revive an unlimited number of times. This is not in accordance with the rules of this world. Any energy will run out eventually." Yun Kursen nodded and continued, "Furthermore, every time he revives, there is a period of weakness. Only when the red light of the full moon shines will he recover to his peak strength. If we attack during that period of time, we can easily kill him." That was indeed the case. When everyone thought about it carefully, the scarlet light would only come from the scarlet moon after the blood demon general revived. Lu Riyue shook her head and said, "That won't do. That period of time is too short. If we attack so quickly, the might of the attack will be weakened. It will not be a threat to him." Yun Kursen glanced at Xiao Chen and said, "Yi Chen, there is a way." A strange look flashed in Murong Chang's eyes. He did not believe it. He could not even execute a powerful martial technique in such a short period of time. He did not believe that someone weaker than him, Xiao Chen, could do it. "He can do it?" "Stop joking," Murong Chong snorted coldly. "Hu Qi! Hu Qi!" Countless tiny droplets of blood appeared out of nowhere in the space above the rubble. They started to gather at a certain point. Everyone's expressions changed. They knew that this was the prelude to the blood demon general's revival. They quickly stopped talking. Xiao Chen remained silent. A fierce flame started burning in his right eye, turning into a sea of flames. The blood demon general's somewhat weak figure reappeared. The scarlet light of the full moon was like a ribbon as it descended quickly. The blood demon general revealed a sinister smile on his pale face. He said, "Only the 4 of you are left? How unfortunate, that brat ran away. Under the full moon, I am an undying existence. I have disappointed you all again." "Ah." Before the blood demon general finished speaking, just as the scarlet light was about to land on his head, the purple thunder true fire that Xiao Chen had already prepared turned into a purple arrow and pierced into the blood demon general's heart. Bang! Electricity shot out in all directions. Before the scarlet light landed on the blood demon general's body, his body exploded into countless droplets of blood. Z! Z! In the air, the ground was continuously overflowing. Those tiny beads of blood were all blown into nothingness. The blood demon general that had just been revived was killed just like that. Lu Riyue and Murong Chong revealed astonished gazes. This was especially so for Murong Chong. His eyes were filled with a fiery light. He was in complete disbelief. Although Lu Riyue was astonished, when she saw Xiao Chen's strength, she still felt happy for him. She asked in pleasant surprise, "Yi Chen, this is a martial technique that you grasped after advancing to martial saint, right? If I did not know about it in advance, would not have been able to dodge this move." Xiao Chen's move allowed the origin energy of the purple thunder true fire to be unleashed. When he attacked with his full power, he could move at the speed of sound.